Hello, gamers! You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 111. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight is Ben Boyce. Boyce, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good, Brent. Sounds like you're doing a little bit better as well.
I'm at about 80%. I'm about
80%.
85%, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah. We had some cold weather here in Michigan last week.
You don't say.
Yeah, it was like Mother Nature's one last shot. And I came down with a sinus infection. Now, normally I can shake these things in like 2 days. I just drink a lot of orange juice. I drink a lot of fluids. I take my vitamin C and let my body just naturally kick it out. Not this time. This was just an assault on every system. And like it started, I think it was like early, like Thursday night when I was leaving work. I was like, man, I kind of got like a little tickle in my throat. You know, and we had some other stuff going on. Melissa's uncle passed away and some other stuff going on. But, you know, Thursday night I feel a little tickle in my throat. Then Friday I'm like, okay, now I feel like shit. And, you know, the voice is starting to go. I got this congestion. It just, like, even, like, it hurt. Like, that's the first time I've actually felt discomfort and pain through here.
Yeah.
And, you know, Saturday I had to call in, or I had to take the day off. And I'm sitting there laying in bed, and I wake up in the morning, and literally the sheets and the comforter on our bed is soaking. Like I had a fever going, and I must have busted it, but I mean, the congestion for like 5 straight days was unbearable. I can't remember the last time I let a sinus infection just completely beat my ass for 5 straight days, dude. I was a disaster for 5 straight days. I'm sleeping in my kid's bed because I can't be around them. He's sleeping with Melissa in their bed. She's got the baby in that room, and I'm just like in the quarantine in my son's bedroom, laying in his bed. It was not a pleasant experience whatsoever. So
yeah, I know how that is when you're trying to bubble yourself off from the family when you catch something. It's not fun.
There's nothing worse than being sick and having to take care of 2 sick kids.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do anything. You don't want to have to take care of other people. And when the kids get sick, oh my God, and you're sick, that's a disaster. That's just not fun at all. So
yeah.
I'm feeling better. I still have a cough. I apologize if I coughed during the show, but feeling much better this time around. And hopefully we got some warm weather coming into Michigan. Hopefully we've seen the end of winter. Mother Nature is, you know, giving it to us one more time, and that's it. We can start warming up here, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. No guarantees.
Dude, I wake up for opening day of the baseball season. Actually, let's go back to the night before.
The night before.
So baseball season in full swing. Opening day for the Tigers is Friday, so it happened yesterday. Thursday night, I'm driving home from work, and it's snowing.
Ugh.
It's fucking snowing outside.
Not just snow, like rain, snow. It's just disgusting.
Yeah. It's like, I'm like, dude, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
It's like, it's snowing, it's cold as hell. I woke up that morning, I had the good fortune to be able to go to the game, go to opening day, and, you know, it's freezing in the morning, just freezing my ass off. I'm just like, what's going on here? Thankfully, the sun came out, skies, the clouds kind of parted ways. It was blue skies, sunny all day.
Yeah.
You know, it was a chilly breeze, 50 degrees, but beautiful day. All things said, good day to play baseball. So it was turned out okay. But the night before, I was a little scared. I was like, man, am I gonna be sitting in this shit in the stands tomorrow? So I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's
the older you get, man, the worse the cold is for you. So as I get up in age here, it chills my bones a little bit further each year.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, you know, but when you're at Comerica and it's 50 degrees, it's different at Comerica, like because like the breeze is usually cut off from most areas, and plus you're surrounded by people and you got the sun on you, so it can feel a little bit warmer than 50.
Yeah,
But no, you had beautiful weather for it, man. It was a great day for the game. I was jealous of you. I was at work, and you're down there having a good time. So,
Yeah.
We better get off the sports before Frankie stops listening.
Among other people, dude. Before we do anything though, so last week, Destiny 2 got officially announced. We got to talk about it on the show. It's a game that we love at the site. It's a game that we've been waiting to talk about for a very long time. So, dude, I want to talk to you about Destiny for a little bit here. I want to get your thoughts on the trailer, on the teaser, on what we know about it so far. Just word vomit. Destiny 2, man. What are you thinking right now? Lay it on me.
I'm glad I wasn't here last week because I probably would have just went absolutely nuts on the show. I've had some time to let everything digest and just kind of soak it all in. And, look, it was a teaser. It set up the story. It gave us a look at some of the enemies we're going to be facing, what happens to the tower, what happens to the city below. And, I thought the trailer was pretty good. I mean, you have Cade 6 doing his thing. You've got the levity, the humor there, and then you got Zavala on the other side getting people. I was getting pumped with Zavala. I was like, man, I can get behind that. This is sweet. So you had that.
Dude, Lance Reddick has a rally the troops voice, man.
Yeah, he
he's
does.
Just like that guy could read you bedtime stories. I mean, he's just like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, it was a great trailer, and like I said, Cade 6 is just always gonna bring
Gary.
Yeah, couldn't get the name right, but no. Overall, I thought it was a really good trailer. I got to see what we wanted to see, and Destiny 2 is now officially announced. We got to see the collector's edition. We got to see the limited edition. We got to see some of the cool stuff that you get with that. No, overall, I was really impressed. I'm excited for it. I want to see the gameplay. I know we aren't going to see that until next month.
May 18th.
The 18th of May. So look, man, I love Destiny. I'm excited for Destiny 2. I'm just ready. I'm just ready for it. I want to see the gameplay, and then I want September 8th to get here.
What do you think about where we think the story is going at this point? Like, obviously the Cabal and this new group of Cabal led by the Cabal leader and the Red Legion, who just looks. I mean, this is something that Destiny does better than anybody else. They just make things badass.
Right.
Like the Cabal leader is this badass looking dude named Gaul. He comes through with this legion of new Cabal troops called the Red Legion. They're badass, big dudes, huge like cleaver swords. So what do you think about this idea of the Cabal invading the city, basically trashing the city? I mean, the city's in flames, the Traveler's damaged, all of our gear's destroyed. The last remaining Guardians are spread throughout the outskirts of the city. Judging by where Cade was, looks like some of them are still in the city, trapped in there with the Cabal. So what do you think about this idea of the Cabal invading, and it's going to be our kind of goal to rally up the Guardians and maybe even rally up some of the old heroes of old that we've heard about throughout Destiny 1, like Osiris or Tex or any of these guys that we've heard about in the Grimoire and all this stuff. Hey, what do you think about this just kind of galaxy spanning story to unite all these guys together and then make one last run at the Cabal and take the city back? What do you think about that idea, man?
When I watched that trailer, I kind of liked it because from what we had played in Destiny and all the expansions, all the stuff was really, really good. Obviously the story got better as the expansions kept coming out. Destiny didn't give us a whole lot, but I still feel like in most of these expansions, there was never a sense of urgency, like dire straits. Like you were always kind of like, the tower, you're here, you go out there, you're going to kick ass with your friends, you come back, collect your loot, and you have a good day. I think this kind of sets the tone for a more, I wouldn't say darker, but just a more urgent, more sense of urgency, more,
the stakes are
raised. The stakes are higher, and, that's what I took from the trailer. I love the idea of the Cabal showing up and saying, hey, look, we're pissed. All right, that kind of ties into what we saw at the end of the Taken King, with the communique that goes out. These dudes show up. They're like, okay, look, we heard you guys think you're badasses. You're not. They trash the city. They trash the tower. I like how they trash the gear, so that helps deliver.
I love that, man.
That makes it easier for Bungie to say, hey, look, you don't get to bring any of your stuff over, so you're starting off fresh. So I thought that was pretty cool. But no, I think the premise is there. It sets things up, makes things a lot more, more dire, and it raises the stakes, like you mentioned. So I think they've done a good job of kind of setting the table. And like you mentioned, with the expansions, you see Osiris, and we all know that Osiris was originally supposed to be a part of the original Destiny, but it didn't make it in. So they've got this stuff built up. They've got this stuff ready to go, and they probably, they'll tweak it for the new story going forward, and it allows us to revisit some of these characters that we only read about in Grimoire cards.
Yeah, I saw a really good video from a YouTube guy. Give a shout out to him. His name is My Name is Byf, BYF.
Yeah.
And this guy makes good videos. I like watching his Destiny stuff, but he made this video where he kind of was recounting all of the legendary heroes that we heard about in Destiny 1 and how cool it would be if in Destiny 2 we had to kind of scour the universe to gather all these guys together in order to make a run at the Red Legion and at Gaul. And I think that would be awesome, dude, to go around and meet all these legendary dudes and because we know the story is going to be much more than just the Cabal invading the city. There's going to be some other stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be, there's still the Fallen and the Hive and the Vex. Who knows what's going on with them? Who knows if they'll be involved? I have a suspicion they will be. Who knows if we'll see some new alien races? Who knows if we'll see some new classes, some new obviously we'll see new abilities, we'll see new guns, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really exciting to think about, man. What'd you think about the tone of the trailer? So obviously we have Zavala serious, Cade being goofy, so we have this juxtaposition of the humor and the more serious aspect. And that was one of the things people really loved about the Taken King, was the fact that Cade took center stage in that DLC, and him and Zavala and Eris, they all had these great banter between them. Ghost was awesome. So there was all this good banter. It was more, it had more of an adventurous feel than Destiny did, which took itself very, very seriously. So do you like this kind of shift to a more swashbuckling space epic, or do you prefer your Destiny more serious and dire? And do you think that the tone of the trailer is what we're going to see from Destiny 2?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, I like how they flesh out the characters more. They give them more personality. And, obviously, like I said, Cade 6 is a goof. And I don't know if this trailer will be fully indicative of his role. I mean, I'm sure there'll be moments where Cade takes things seriously. I'm sure there's moments where Zavala will have moments of levity and, he'll crack a joke. But I don't want this to be like an all-out, laugh fest. I want to have certain tone, some seriousness, because that adds to the element when you're playing through the missions, when you're going through the strikes. You want to have something to fight for. So I do want to have some serious tones to it. But I do like we all know, the Taken King, and going forward, when they added more Cade 6 to it, it just gave the game more personality. It was much more enjoyable. It was much more accessible for people to kind of believe in the story. When you take a story like Destiny, and when we saw in Vanilla Destiny, and it took itself way too seriously, I think when you do that, but you don't have a lot of depth to the story, you're like, why is this so serious? I don't really know what's going on. But when you
insert Joker here, why so serious?
Why so serious? But it's just, I think the tone of the trailer it was really, really good. I don't think it'll be indicative of the final game. I think it'll be spread out a little bit more. I don't think it'll be as Cade 6 heavy. I think there'll be some more tones, because obviously when you have the city getting trashed and the tower getting trashed, there's obviously going to be some serious tones there. So no, I thought I did a good job of bouncing back and forth, and it kind of gets people excited, and we'll see more going forward.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the last show, dude. But the tone I want to see from Destiny is I want to feel like The Force Awakens. That's kind of the vibe I want to get from Destiny. The universe that Bungie's created is incredible. This is a great sci-fi universe with tons of awesome lore. There's some great characters, and there's some great character actors. Man, there's an all-star cast in this game, from Ikora to Zavala to Cade to Ghost. They're all voiced by really, really great voice actors who can bring a lot to the table. So they have the chops to pull off whatever tone they want. And we know Luke Smith was responsible for the Taken King. He's the creative director on Destiny 2, partly because he did such a great job with the Taken King. So I would imagine that tone, that kind of swashbuckling space epic, adventurous tone that we got from that game, that's going to be the tone that we see in Destiny 2. And I'm totally cool with that, because I just think that fits well with this universe and that adventurous nature. I don't want this to be like an M-rated, dire game. I want this to have some levity, have some just classic sci-fi adventure feel to it. And I think we got a little bit of that in the trailer, and I think you're right. I don't think that trailer is indicative of what the game's going to be. I don't think Cade is all of a sudden going to be like the star of the game. Mm-hmm. I think some people kind of took that and ran with it. I'm not sure I agree with that. We've only seen one trailer for the game, so let's pump the brakes on that a little bit. But, yeah, dude, May 18th, Bungie's come out and said that we will not know anything else about this game until May 18th. They're not saying anything else. So they're getting ready for the trailer for May 18th. So we've got a month here to kind of lick our chops and get ready for the gameplay reveal. Which, yeah, I'm gonna lock the door to my office that day, and I'm gonna be like, hold all my calls. We're locked in for the next hour when that live stream comes on.
Right.
But dude, so excited, man! This is such an awesome year in gaming. One more thing too, I wanted to mention, but GameStop, I guess, leaked. At least the proposed release dates of the expansions for the game.
Oh, really?
And they noted winter 2017 and spring 2018. So kind of the same idea they had with the Dark Below and the House of Wolves with the original Destiny. And it remains to be seen if they can. We saw when they originally did that, man, that breakneck release schedule was tough for them to handle.
Right.
Like making Destiny, going right into the Dark Below, then working on House of Wolves, which got delayed for a couple months because they needed more time to work on it. So let me ask you this. Do you think that now with all of these other studios involved, Vicarious Visions is involved, High Moon Studios is involved, who knows who else is involved in this project? I'm sure Activision has all hands on deck for this game, which is going to be a juggernaut for them. Do you think that with these other studios, they're partly bringing them in so they can just work on these DLC content or these additional sizable content pieces and just keep cranking them out to people? Are we going to see a new piece of Destiny content every quarter? Is that feasible?
I think that's what Bungie envisioned with Destiny 1, and like we all know, they just weren't able to hit that frequency. They weren't able to get it out as quickly as they would like. So they bring in all these studios, they bring in all these all these extra hands to do this. I think this is what they want to do with the content because they know there's so many people that play this game.
No question. Yeah.
So many people that look into things. But, I mean, we still got to take into consideration, even bringing all these people in, there's so many variables that I'm sure that come into play. Balancing weapons. You got to take into consideration we've got a PC version now. There's got to have to be, things are going to have to take into consideration for that. There's all sorts of new variables that are coming into play that could cause a delay if they have to fix something else or if there's something else they have to address. But, no, I believe 100% with what you just said. The reason they're bringing all these people in because they have a vision of how they want this content to drip out. And they weren't able to do it with Destiny 1. But I think that's what they're really striving for with Destiny 2 is to have a more consistent release of content.
Yeah. And Activision has said as much on several of their investor calls. They've been like, our goal with this game is to crank out content at a higher pace, and Bungie realizes too that the community has spoken on some of this drip feed stuff and some of these other events that they do. That's not what they want to see. The community wants to see the Dark Below. They want to see the House of Wolves. They want to see the Taken King and those type of expansions. That's what they're looking for. They don't want to see the Festival of the Lost. Which that stuff's cool, and you can still do that stuff, but that can't be a replacement for a full-sized expansion. That's not what the community wants.
Right.
So here's what and this is from WCCF Tech. They posted the GameStop information. It was basically an internal memo that was sent to them about the game. But I'm just going to hone in on the expansion pass here. It says, the Destiny 2 expansion pass includes reservations for both Expansion 1 and Expansion 2, which you mentioned, Brent. Osiris in Expansion 1, the Warmind, or Rasputin in Expansion 2, which will be released in winter 2017 and spring 2018, respectively. The expansions offer brand new story missions, cooperative activities, competitive multiplayer, and a wealth of new weapons, armor, and gear. So, I mean, that's straight from the horse's mouth right there, man.
Right.
So, and we've talked about this throughout the months, but this game could have upwards of 700, 800, 900 people working on it at this point. We don't know. There's a lot of people that are working on this game, so I feel like they've been beefing up their staff for this, man. And we talked about this on one of our past shows, but they're beefing their staff up for this ability to keep cranking out sizable and meaningful content for us on a regular basis. And boy, that is super dangerous because I may never play another game again. So it's scary, but it's also really, really exciting, man. I'm super super pumped for this game. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Can't wait to see the live stream. Can't wait to learn more about it throughout the summer. And then as soon as the fall hits, man, woo, Destiny 2, baby.
I have from now until September 8th to beat about 9 different games. And that's it. Like when September 8th drops, it's a Friday launch, as we discussed a couple weeks ago. This is going to be a simultaneously released game on Friday. So I'll be sick again beginning Thursday night.
Better practice that cough this week.
I've been working on it very well. I'm very good at it. And I'll be off Friday and Saturday. And if you follow us on Twitter, which you should, at the Short Pause, you saw that we will not have a podcast the week of September 10th, unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts.
We got to get raid ready.
Yeah, we'll be raid ready.
Like, dude, I think that's one of the things that we need to strive for with Destiny 2 is let's get our light level up and get into the raid that first weekend. Like, let's get in on the action when everybody's trying to figure this thing out. Like, I think that'd be really, really fun. So I think that should be one of our goals.
I am totally on board for that. And if that's the case, we might not have 2 podcasts. We won't have the opening weekend, and we won't have the raid weekend. So we'll live stream everything, and we'll just do a podcast during the live stream of the raid.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. We won't abandon. We won't abandon our audience completely.
So what have you been playing, man? What's new? I caught the stream on Thursday night. You streamed
through Tuesday night.
Oh, see
the now Tuesday night Indie Spotlight.
You streamed on Tuesday night Blackwood Crossing.
Yeah, dude, this game is really, really weird.
It is.
So fired it up. It's you start this thing, you feel like you're kind of in like a Kubrick film or something. Man.
It was very much like a Kubrick film.
Yeah. So you wake up, you're this girl. You're on a train. You're kind of chasing your little brother around, and you start seeing all these people in these weird like animal masks. You know, like something out of Eyes Wide Shut or something. Like everybody's got a different animal on their head, and yeah, it's kind of this psychological trip through the mind of these I'm guessing they're recent orphans. I haven't finished the game or gone through it enough yet to figure out all the nitty gritty of the story. But yeah, they seem like they're recently orphaned children, and they're kind of dealing with this loss of their parents in different ways. And it's a very, very interesting game. And while it starts off very, very weird, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, some of the puzzles are really clever. They're puzzles unlike ones that I've seen before. This is a first-person adventure game. So, thankfully I had some people watching the stream that could help me out, because I was like, what the hell am I doing here? So, our buddy JD hopped in there. He helped me figure out a few things. Frankie was in there pointing out a window that was open at one point. So, some of you guys jumped in there, joined the stream, watched, helped me figure out a few of the things. So that was cool. But I like this game, dude. I really do. I think it's really cool. It's a game that has a story that's going on, but there's much more beneath the surface. Like, this is something that deals with some deep psychological stuff that you could actually get in there and study. And there's a lot more going on under the hood than meets the eye. And I'm really, really curious to see where things go from here. I finished the first act, did the first act on the stream, and we kind of, things are going to progress forward from there. But it's weird, it's bizarre, but I think it's clever. The voice acting is good. The story is really interesting. The game itself is cool, man. I like it. I dig it a lot. I think Blackwood Crossing is something worth checking out. The only things that bugged me, and they could bother you a lot, but this game takes place in first person, and your character takes every step individually. So when I hold forward on the stick, your character walks, like you can feel each of your legs taking a step. It's not like in a typical first person game where you just hold forward and it's almost like you're gliding across the ground, so to speak. Like you're just moving. But you actually feel each step that your character takes. There's no way to run or move quicker, at least early on in the game. So that's a little irritating when you're trying to walk around and you're like, come on, can I just get to where I'm trying to get to?
Right.
But you kind of get used to it after a while, and this isn't like a big open expansive game, so it's not like you're going to be traversing long distances, so it's not that big of a deal. But it is a bit strange when you first get in there and start playing it. Also, and this is a problem I have with pretty much all these adventure games, on console at least. But moving the cursor around and getting it to the right position on the object you're trying to interact with is a little fidgety. So yeah, I'm pointing it to this person's head and I'm trying to talk to them, but it's for whatever reason not in the right spot.
Like the interact thing doesn't show up when it should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a problem I have with pretty much all adventure games on console. It's much easier when you have a mouse to point and click at what you need to, but when you're using a control stick and you're moving around, you're trying to move the cursor around for whatever reason, it's just a little bit finicky. So, there's some ups and some downs with the game, but I think it's really, really cool, man. It's something worth checking out. A lot of people probably don't know about this game, but if you're at all a fan of adventure games and kind of figuring out puzzles and kind of weird, quirky, interesting stories, check this one out. I think it's worth a look.
Cool. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the stream here and there. It's when I was kind of just chilling and relaxing and trying to rest. But no, it looked very interesting. The story looked very cool, and like I said, a very just kind of uneasy setting, very atmospheric, kind of just very strange. And
the music is really evocative.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. I'm definitely interested. I might actually pick that up somewhere on down the line.
Yeah, I think you dig it, man. The psychological stuff in the game is really, really interesting. I want to see where they go with it. It's pretty intriguing.
Sweet. So make sure you check that out. It's on our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming, every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. The Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight will be on our YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. We send out a link every time it goes live. Subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications. Always a great stream. People hop in there. They talk to Ben. Ben talks about the game. It's a really great stream. I love it. We always get to showcase some of these smaller titles that might get missed, that might go under the radar with some of all these AAA games that are surrounding them. So,
yeah.
Did you touch anything else this week?
We hopped in the drawn to death, dude.
Yes, we did.
So hit PlayStation Plus, and we got to hop into David Jaffe's newest joint. And this thing is just in an adrenaline rush, man. I mean, it's just balls to the wall. It's basically steeped in 90s, like grunge culture.
Yeah.
Kind of it's got the rock soundtrack. I think it was Bender that mentioned that it sounds like a soundtrack from like a Tony Hawk game.
Right.
That's pretty much what it sounds like. It's got those kind of punk rock tracks pulsing through it. Yeah, Drawn to Death, man. It's a third person arena shooter. It's got what I think is a really cool art style. The teenager's notebook that this game takes place in.
Yeah.
I think the aesthetic's really cool, man. I like the design of the stages. I like the design of the characters and some of the like cool and quirky powers and things that they do. So I thought that was cool. I think the game's fast. It's fluid. I think it's fun to play. We got to hop in there, all four of us, me, you, Bender, Frankie, and thought we had a great time, man. Just going around playing some of the different modes, blowing each other up, and having some yucks. I don't know. I thought it was good, man.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty entertaining. I know it hasn't reviewed very well. There's been some reviews that have come out that have been kind of hard on it, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good time. We had a lot of fun in there. Like I said, it's a 2-on-2, a 2v2. It's the most you can do is 4 people. There's 2v2. There's 1v1. There's deathmatch. There's one mode that we played called Organ Donor, which I thought was by far the best mode. So I really enjoyed Organ Donor. You can check out that gameplay. It's also on our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. We've got a Short Pause Let's Play. Played it for about an hour. Tried out some of the different modes, different characters. So you can get a look see at how it plays and what the characters are like. But overall, I thought it's just a really fun game. If there was one thing that I didn't like about it, maybe it's something they can change, is when you descend after jumping, you float for quite a while. For as much as you can dodge and juke around and everything and jump really fast and all that stuff, I kind of wish the way you descended was a little bit quicker. Because I feel like if you jump super high and you're trying to get to a location, you kind of hung out to dry, you're in a bad position. You just kind of float there, and it's a little easier to target people when they're kind of floating around. That's my only complaint. I wouldn't even say it was a complaint. It was just something I was like, man, I wish when I jump, I would descend a little bit quicker. I wouldn't just kind of hang up in the air. But other than that, I thought the game was fluid. It was fun. I don't mind the high time to kill. I don't mind that everyone's a bullet sponge. It requires a little bit of skill to stay on target. And no, I thought it was really cool. The special abilities of all the characters, you can kind of feed off. There's pros and cons. Some characters do well with others. Some don't do well with others. And no, there's a fair amount of depth in there. But I thought it was really fun. It's a great game for free. And even at $20 when the Plus discount runs out, I still think it's a pretty fun game so far.
Yeah, and you mentioned the reviews, man. We've only seen a couple of them so far. There's only a few reviews out there from some of the bigger sites.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they didn't have necessarily glowing things to say about it.
Right.
But I don't know. Reading the reviews that are out there, I just felt like maybe I was playing a different game. I clearly had a different take on it than some of these other sites. But this is going to be a polarizing aspect of this game. But the sense of humor that this game has is not going to be for everybody. It's turned off some of the people that have reviewed the game, and I understand it. It's a very crass, it's a very crude game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't pull any punches with the language and some of the things that it does. So there's a constant barrage of vulgarity and gore and just toilet humor and like stuff you'd expect from a teenager. Which I understand that's what the game's about. It's about being in this teenager's notepad. So I understand what they're going for with that. And also, like I said, I understand why some people might not get into that. So I get all that, but I feel like if you can get past that, which I can, some of the stuff I thought was funny. But once you get into the actual game itself, I think there's a lot there. Like there's actually some depth to this shooter. This is not just dudes running around shooting each other. Like the way you use special moves and which guns and which loadouts you pick and who's powerful against who and all that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot that goes into these matches, and there's a fair bit of skill that goes into this game. Like this, when you play somebody that knows how to play this game, if you're just mashing buttons, you're gonna get thrashed. So I like what's under the hood of this game. I think it feels smooth too, man. I mean, it's fast. It's clearly 60 frames. I mean, it just runs, and it runs quick. So I don't know. I like what I've played it Drawn to Death. So I think it's definitely at least worth checking out if you're a Plus member. I mean, the game is free for Plus members right now, so definitely give it a whirl. But even if you're not a Plus member, like you said, $20, hop in there. If you're looking for a third-person shooter game, like watch some of the streams of this game. There's a fair amount of people that are streaming this, so head over to Twitch, watch somebody play this game. That's what I was doing before I even started. I was like, man, this looks awesome. People who were playing it had fun with it. They were having a good time with it. So I think if this game can find a dedicated following of people that get into it, and hopefully PlayStation Plus will allow that, this game's only going to continue to get better. We haven't played a ton of it yet. We've only played for a couple hours, but maybe obviously the people that have reviewed the game played a lot more, and maybe this game gets stale after a while. It's not a ton of content that's available in the game right now.
Right.
But over the weeks and months here, they're going to continue to add characters, continue to add stages, and continue to iterate on the game. So it's only going to get better from here. And I'm looking forward to see what they do with it, man.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I think the only thing they really need to focus on right now is getting the network under control. There were some network issues that we bumped into, and Jaffe has been very open on Twitter with the community, talking about how they're doing their best to work on the networking issues, the matchmaking. There's some of the matchmaking can take a little longer than they would like, and that's stuff that they're tweaking. But for an online game, you got to make sure you launch in a good status. And they've had quite a few betas, so I can understand why some people may be disappointed. Because you never want to see a game go through beta, alpha, beta, and all that stuff, and come out and have like matchmaking issues that they're encountering. So it's not a perfect game. It's got some flaws to it, but like you said, this is gonna be a game they can just kind of iterate on over time, and it's gonna get better. It's like a Rainbow Six Siege. It's an online game. It's gonna have to get tweaked, and eventually, it could become a game that, like you said, grows as time goes on and build quite a community.
Yeah, hopefully it's able to sustain an audience and build from there, and then we'll see it grow into something really really good down the line. We'll see.
So yeah, we played that, and then I touched on. I made the mistake of starting Persona 5.
Did you?
Yeah, not the best decision, but I've enjoyed what I've played so far. I haven't played nearly enough to kind of really talk about it in depth. The combat, I've gotten into very little combat so far. Plays great. The style of this game is very, very cool. It's actually kind of a chill game to play. You just sit back. You just go through this guy's day, the character's day. You do what you got to do at school. Go into combat. The combat's it's refreshing. It's exciting, but it's still overall the mood is just very, very chill. It's a nice game to play. So got a little bit of time with that. Played some Skyforge, the free-to-play game that'll be available this week. You'll be talking about that in the new releases. Very cool MMO. Runs good, plays good. Actually, kind of impressed with some of the combat. And so if you're into MMO RPGs, might want to give this one a look this week. It's free to play. Give it a download. Pretty fun so far. I've actually enjoyed my time with that. And then Salt and Sanctuary on the Vita, dude.
I've heard some good things about this one, man.
I've put some time into that, and it's fantastic on the Vita. Like, it really feels like the proper way to play it is on the Vita, and it's a game that it's going to require a lot of time and some skill to get through, and I've really enjoyed my time with it on the Vita.
That's awesome, dude. I'm glad that the time they put into it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we see these Vita ports get shoveled out, and they're the developer or the porting house didn't spend nearly enough time on it, working it out and making it truly what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But Salt and Sanctuary, they took their time. They took an extra year to port the game over to the Vita, and from what you've said and from what I've read elsewhere, it sounds like they've succeeded wholeheartedly. And that's awesome, dude. I'm really glad that worked out good, because that is a game that is perfect for the Vita. Does it have cross save too, right?
I haven't checked cross save. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it does. I think it's just
Oh, it
cross
doesn't?
buy.
Okay.
If it does have cross save, we'll put it in the notes of
Yeah.
the podcast to clarify. But I didn't see anything that suggested cross save
Okay.
was there. But cross buy. I mean, if you bought this on the PS4 and you're swamped with
Yeah.
all these other titles and you got a Vita, download that baby on Vita and play it on the go, dude, because it's perfect on the Vita.
Yeah, I gotta give that a whirl on the Vita still, man. It's I gotta download it and get on it.
It's fantastic on there, so really good stuff.
Yeah.
So that's basically all I've played, just touched on stuff here and there. Like I said, I was sick most of last weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't get to get a whole lot of gaming. I would have loved to have played in bed, but I was just that damn miserable, dude. So
I know the feeling.
hopefully I can get back onto a schedule and get some more gaming in this week, and I'll be able to talk about a little bit more next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, boys, we've got some good titles coming out this week. Let's jump into the new releases.
Let's hop into it, man, and we'll start with Ukulele,
Oh,
a game which will finally be out this Tuesday, April 11th. It'll be available both digitally and at retail. And this was a game that our very own Bender reviewed. So
He sure
review
did.
up on the site right now. Embargo broke this past week. It was a game that Bender enjoyed quite a bit. Brent, speaking of polarizing,
yeah.
this is a polarizing title. My gosh. I mean, reviews just all over the spectrum for this
Yeah.
game. Anything from 2 to 10. Everything in between. There's probably equal amounts of each number in between those ones. It's so this is a game you're really gonna have to play for yourself.
Right.
You're probably not gonna be able to get much out of the review spectrum on this game. Also, a pro tip: when you go to Metacritic for this game, you need to look at all three of them. You need to look at PC, PS4, and Xbox One, because there's different sites that have reviewed this game differently, and to get the full spectrum of reviews, you got to check all three platforms
Oh, wow.
to see what everybody's saying about the game. So you get the full breadth of everything that's going into this game. I think a lot of the pre-release codes that went out were for Xbox. So I think there's more reviews for Xbox right now, but there's quite a bit of PS4 and PC as well. So it's almost an even distribution among the three platforms. So you need to get on there and check out all three of them. When you do, like I said, you'll find a game that's very polarizing, for better or for worse, from what it sounds like, Brent, and I think Bender would probably agree. But this game is basically, it's what would have happened if there was a sequel to Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, whatever the second game was called. I don't remember. If there was a sequel back in the 90s. Like, this is a late 90s, like early 2000s 3D platformer through and through. From the camera issues to the way the game is designed, everything. Like, it's note for note one of these games. So I think that's really interesting that they kind of stuck to the past for this and didn't necessarily go with some of the newer conventions or do things differently with the camera, that kind of stuff, I think that's an interesting design decision. So this is a game that's going to appeal to people that loved those games, to have a nostalgia for those games, and I'm not sure if it's going to appeal to anybody outside of that. Like, I don't know that this game is going to make you a 3D platforming fan if you weren't before. I haven't played it yet, though, but I'm looking forward to playing it this Tuesday. So I'd love to get in there and check it out for myself, because I do love these games. I love 3D platformers back in the day. I've been itching for this to kind of come back, and obviously Ratchet and Clank recently was just a phenomenal game, and did this kind of stuff right. So I'll be interested to see where Ukulele falls in on the spectrum, and if this can take off and if we can get more stuff like Ratchet, maybe this is a genre that can start to come back a little bit. But Brent, what do you think about Yooka-Laylee, man? Is this something you have any interest in?
I actually played a little bit of it when I was trying to capture some footage of it, and my biggest gripe with it was the camera. It just you can use the right stick to control the camera, but it's kind of fidgety how it works. And that was probably the most glaring issue that I had with it. I mean, it's a cute game. I wasn't a big Banjo-Kazooie guy, so I don't really have a whole lot of it. I mean, I like Ratchet and Clank, but this game has some interesting elements to it. Exploring the world was kind of fun. There's different ways to traverse the world. There's certain abilities you need to reach certain areas. So from what very little I've played, I'd say it's a pretty fun game. I mean, but the camera obviously goes to controls, which obviously has a big effect on gameplay and how much fun you have. The camera controls I didn't really get into early on, but maybe as the more you play, you get accustomed to it. It's not that big of a deal, but early on it was just kind of annoying.
Yeah, I mean, and from the reviews that I've read, that's basically what this game comes down to. It's like, can you get past the camera? That's kind of the crux of it. If you can kind of get used to it or get past how it works, then you can have a fun time with this game. If not, it's going to drive you nuts and you're going to hate the game. So, Platonic and Team 17, they have heard people's cries about this game. Not cries in a bad way, but they've heard your pleas, the things that are bothering you about this game. And they actually have a patch coming out, which should be arriving before the game. I think it's already out for Xbox One. So the patch will be ready for day one there, and it should be ready for day one for PC and PS4 players as well. And they're addressing things like the camera and some of the other things that people have talked about, performance issues as well on several of the platforms, I believe. So some of that stuff will be addressed in the patch. Some of it will still need to be addressed in the future, but they are making steps towards it. I don't know exactly what they're going to fix in this patch or how it's going to affect the game, but we'll keep our eye on that. Let's move on with the new releases here. Brent, next on this list is one near and dear to my heart, and that's Cosmic Star Heroine. This is a game steeped in nostalgia for 16-bit RPGs, which is the era of role-playing games that I grew up on. So, I've told this story many times, but, I used to watch one of my best friends when I was younger play Final Fantasy on the NES. Always wondered, like, what are you doing, dude? This game looks dumb. Let's go play DuckTales or Mario or something cool. So, I didn't get into RPGs with the NES, so I missed out on Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior and all that stuff. But with the Super Nintendo, I finally sat down, and Final Fantasy II at that time, which is now known as Final Fantasy IV, correctly, that was the game that drew me in, man. So Final Fantasy IV, I was hooked from there. Played all kinds of games on SNES, from Chrono Trigger to Secret of Mana to Final Fantasy VI, whatever. All that stuff. And Cosmic Star Heroine evokes like Chrono Trigger or Secret of Mana, which are two just absolutely awesome role-playing games. It's got that type of feel to it. So I can't wait to get in here and check this game out, man. This looks like something that was tailor-made for me. We're going to fire this one up for the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight this week. So I'm really excited to get in there and play this one, see what this first hour of this game is all about. I don't know. I'm just pumped, dude. Like I said, to grow up playing 16-bit RPGs and to have just something that I've never let go in terms of my love for these games. I can't wait to play this. But what about you, Felsing? I know you didn't really get into RPGs on the Super Nintendo, but what do you think about Cosmic Star Heroine?
This looks rad. I think this looks really, really good. It just has this cool aesthetic to it. And the fact that the one thing I didn't realize this is going to come to Vita, and it will support cross-buy. Yeah. So this is a game where, as much as I'd love to sit down in front of it and play it on my PS4, I'm going to buy this game, and I'm sure I'll fire it up a little bit and play a little bit just to get a feel for it. But this is something I'm going to be looking forward to on the Vita. The Vita version has been delayed slightly, but it will be out at some point. And I just think this game, when you see the trailer, this is just another game that just is perfect for a Vita experience. I mean, it really is. It's a beautiful-looking game. It's going to be a long adventure. It's an RPG. And I think just RPGs in general are fantastic on the Vita. And this is what I'm really looking forward to playing this game on.
Hopefully it'll have cross-save as well, so we can kind of go back and forth. It's a natural for role-playing games. Do you have to utilize cross-save? I mean, that's where I think that feature's at its strongest. So so I'm excited to play this game, man. Once again, Tuesday night Indie Spotlight, 10 p.m. Eastern, YouTube channel. I'll be on there playing the game. Some of these guys will be in the chat room talking, and we'll fire this one up and have a good time with it. This is part of the Play Collective promo that's running throughout the springtime here. So another really, really cool looking game for this promotion. I think next week we're looking at Full Throttle Remastered, I believe is the Play Collective game. So it's been a really good promotion so far. I've played some cool games. Looking forward to playing some more. Yeah, that's actually what else I played this week. I played Parappa the Rapper. So
you did pick that up.
Yeah. I love Parappa the Rapper. I had to pick it up when it was 20% off or whatever. It's still a cool game, man. The weird thing is they didn't remaster any of the cinematics. So all the cinematics are the PS1 cinematics. No. So I'm watching this. I'm like, well, why the hell didn't they take the time to do this? I mean, I understand it's time and money, and it's not as simple as just hitting the resolution button and everything's just all fine and dandy. So I get that, but yeah, I would have loved if they would have been able to go in there and fix up the cinematics and the story and all that stuff too, because that's a big part of this game, and it's a little rough to sit there and watch a PS1 cinematic on my 55-inch 4K TV, and I'm just sitting there like, come on, dude.
Especially when the gameplay goes from 4K to the actual PS1 look.
And when you get into the game, like, the game looks beautiful. It's awesome. There's these colorful characters, the game's very clean lines. It's a beautiful game to play. Still a fun game to play. It's not as revolutionary as it once was. It's a very simple rhythm game. It's still challenging though to get those high scores in the game. There's still some very precise button presses that are required to do that. So it's still fun to go through and meet up with these characters and whatnot. But if you don't have any nostalgia for Parappa, I'm not sure if you're gonna get into this game or not. But as somebody who owned it, who loved it, as you kind of watch the rhythm genre evolve from that game, I don't regret my purchase. I love that game. So. Cool. So that's Parappa. Cosmic Star Heroine, the next one in the promo. That'll be out this week. Can't wait for that one either. Another really cool looking game is the Sexy Brutale. And this is one that Frankie's been talking about. It's from Tequila Works. So obviously they're making Rhyme. They somehow snuck in and made this game as well while all that was going on. And there's been some good buzz about this game. I saw Jim Sterling tweeting about this game earlier, and he not so subtly hinted that this might be on his end of the year list. So, so he had a really good time with this game. It looks very, very interesting. It's like a mix of, I don't know, Groundhog Day and a Clue, or like a murder mystery or something like that. So it looks like it's got kind of a goofy sense of humor, maybe like the movie Clue or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like it takes place in some type of play, and there's some puzzle solving. It's got this kind of isometric single room view. Frankie's requested that we try and stream this one as well, so we may resurrect a Thursday Indie Spotlight for Sexy Brutale as well. No promises on that. I'll see what I can do this week, but I'm interested in that one as well. I think it looks rad, so we'll keep our eyes on that one this week, Brent. Hero Blaster coming this week from the creator of Cave Story, very, very popular shoot 'em up game from a few years back. Cave Story making its way over to the Switch this year, so if you haven't checked out Cave Story yet, definitely keep your eyes on that when it hits the Switch. I think later this summer. But this is a very simple game about a frog with a jetpack and a gun. So you just kind of side-scrolling shooter. It's got like some Contra elements. The graphics are very crude. It looks the 8-bit style, but it looks fun, man. There's bosses, there's power-ups and that kind of stuff. So looks like it could be a fun game. Something I'd like to fire up at some point. This other game too, dude. I think this one looks really, really cool. Aero, Aero. Keep your eye on this game. It looks like a cross between Star Fox and Amplitude. It's a rhythm-based flight game. It has the perspective of like Star Fox. You're like behind a spacecraft or something. You're flying through stages. You're shooting enemies in the distance, but it's all according to a rhythm and a beat. And it's got a very hard-hitting techno soundtrack. I think there was some dubstep in the trailer for the game. So this game looks sweet, man. It looks really, really cool. This one kind of snuck up on me out of nowhere. I think it's made by two guys, but very, very interested in Aero and want to hear how this game turns out. So if you play that game, let us know. Podcast@shortpause.com. but I need to try and fire that one up myself at some point. Keep your eye on that one, dude. It looks cool. I think you might get into that one as well. Rolling Bob is hitting on Thursday. This basically looks like Kirby in the Rainbow Curse or whatever. You're drawing lines with the DualShock controller and you need to move your guy across the stages. So if you're into that stuff, check that out. Crawl, another very, very interesting looking title. In this game, it's a multiplayer game. It's I'm not sure if it's just local, but I believe it's local at least. It's one person is the dungeon crawler and other people take control of the monsters in the maze. And if you're able to kill the guy who's the hero or the dungeon crawler, you then take control of the hero and start moving through the level, and everybody else is the monsters.
That's
so
cool.
It looks really cool, dude. Watch the trailer for this game. It's another one that's got a very crude art style. Looks like Sword and Sorcery, that kind of style. And yeah, the combat looks fast, looks fluid. It's a really, really interesting concept. I'm curious how the execution is on this. It's been out on Steam for a few years, I think, coming over to consoles for the first time. I'm gonna keep my eye on Crawl as well. Looks kind of rad. Snowmoto Racing Freedom is a snowmobile racing game that'll be out this week. Eurofishing is coming as well from Dovetail Games. Skyforge, the one you mentioned, Brent, coming out of its kind of early access phase, and it will hit its official release this Tuesday. It's a free-to-play title, so you'll be able to hop in there, see what it's all about. And I want to know a little bit more about this game, dude. When I saw the trailer for this game, it looked like it was very high production values. Like, this didn't look like a free-to-play title.
No.
This looked like a big-time MMORPG. So from what you've played of this, does it hold up in that respect? Does it feel like a big-budget RPG?
Yeah, from what I have played so far, it was very entertaining. It didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel like a free-to-play game. The visuals look good. The combat's nice. It's fluid. I really enjoyed what I played with it so far. I mean, it does not feel like a free-to-play game. Obviously, I haven't opened up the game as much as possible because that's usually when you start finding the grindy portion of it. The walls that you might run into that you might get better if you pay. But from what I've seen so far, I've really enjoyed Skyforge.
Is there anything that sets Skyforge apart from other MMORPGs? Like, there's anything special that it does?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that really kind of sets it apart. But again, like I said, I haven't really gotten it to open up completely to see what it all entails.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm getting at here is, other than the fact that it's free to play, is there any reason I would play this over like Final Fantasy?
Probably not yet. But like I said,
yeah.
If it opens up and there's a ton of stuff to do, it could be mind blowing. It might be, but from what I played early on compared to what I experienced early on in Final Fantasy 14, I'd probably give the edge to Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. There's just so many of these games now, dude.
Yeah.
There's so many of these free-to-play MMORPGs. Not just on... and they're coming to console as well. Like, it's not just on PS4 either. It's on Xbox. It's on PC. There's so many of these games. Like, how do they stand out? Like, what are they doing to bring people in? Because it's like you've got this, you've got Final Fantasy, you've got Elder Scrolls, you've got Neverwinter, you've got there's a bunch of other ones that I haven't even begun to look into at all. So there's just a ton of these things now, man. And Skyforge looks cool, man. It's something I do want to check out at some point. All right, so it's in early access right now. So if you're listening to the show before it's out, you can still. What do you get in the early access version? Is there like some special items
three
or something?
Different tiers of it. I
Yeah.
got the cheapest one. There was a couple of items that you got there, but
Yeah.
it wasn't anything like mind blowing.
Okay, so if you want to get those early items, you've got a few days when you're listening to this to get in before the game officially launches. So I think the early access version in the first tier is like $11.99. I think it's 20% off if you're a Plus member. It's $14.99 if you're not. So check that out if you're looking for an MMORPG to play. Moving on, Stardew Valley Collector's Edition coming to retail this week. So if you've been holding out for a physical version of this game, your wish has been granted. Dishonored 2 has a free trial that's available now, which I believe houses the first 3 missions of the game.
Correct.
So if you're curious about that game, get in there. How much content are we talking about with the first 3 missions? Just like a few hours?
Yeah, there's a fair amount.
So that's pretty rad that they give you, all that to get into and kind of check the game out. More and more publishers starting to do this now. I don't know if you noticed that, but we're seeing more of these free trials. Watch Dogs had one recently. We've got Dishonored. I feel like every week we're getting a new free trial for something, and it's cool. People are getting to try out these games, see what they're all about. Especially for something like Dishonored 2, which reviewed very well, but kind of got the short end of the stick sales-wise. So getting this game into more people's hands, I think, is a good idea. And rounding out the PlayStation 4 content this week, Persona 5 is getting some DLC. And Atlas kind of laid out the DLC plan for Persona 5. It's quite a bit of content coming over the next few weeks and month. But this week we've got a Persona 4 costume and music set, a Persona 3 costume and music set, Orpheus and Orpheus Picaro Persona set, Izanagi and Izanagi Picaro Persona set, and Persona 5 regular clothes and school uniforms costume set, which is free. So get on there and check that out if you are into that game. Man, game reviewing just extremely well. Many people calling this the best JRPG ever made, which is high praise with some of the JRPGs that have been made over the years, dude. Man, I mean, sitting at, 94, 95 on Metacritic, just unbelievable how the games at the beginning of this year are just knocking it out of the park. It's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5 just sliding right in there and keeping that train moving. So that's your PlayStation 4 releases for the week. A couple of VR titles that we want to mention too. First of all, Brent, Star Blood Arena. This is one we've talked about a little bit. We've seen it on the stage at was it E3 or PlayStation Experience? One of those.
I think it was the
Star Blood Arena was up there, and I think this game looks cool, man. It's like a mech arena shooter, and I didn't really get to play rigs, so I didn't get to get into that like I wanted to, but it just feels like a mech. Like piloting a mech is kind of one of the things VR was made for, right?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about what you've seen at Star Blood Arena?
I like what I've seen from the trailer. Lots of modes, lots of action. It's
Yeah,
very colorful.
lots of modes.
Yeah, colorful, very vibrant. Like I said, lots of action. Fast-paced. Looks really cool. Looks like it's a very good VR title, and I'm definitely going to be picking this one up.
Yeah, it looks to be multiplayer focused. This is something I'd like to play with you guys at some point, man. I think this would be really fun to hop into the VR world and play some Star Blood Arena.
Because there's multiplayer, there's competitive, but there's also like a horde mode.
Co-op, yeah.
There's
co-op in there
horde
too.
mode. So
yeah, horde mode in VR. Hell yeah, dude.
I'd be down for that.
That sounds awesome. So hopefully this one turns out good. Also on the VR front this week, Valkyrie getting the Ground Rush DLC update. Dude, this is another one. I haven't got to play the co-op part of this game yet. I haven't even really jumped into the multiplayer yet, but this is something I want to do. This game's freaking awesome. Like this is one of the best VR experiences out there. This is what VR was made for: jumping into a spaceship, flying out in space, shooting things, flying around in like an X-wing. I mean, this is one of the things that VR was made for, man. And the Ground Rush DLC gives you some new co-op modes, a new map to fly around in. Looks really, really good. It's a free update as well, so no reason not to download this. Fire up Valkyrie, download the update. I wanna play some more of that one too. Got to get back in the headset, man.
Absolutely.
Just haven't had the time. So that's your PlayStation VR update. Now let's talk some Vita. And Brent, this one at the top of this list I think looks really cool, man. Rose in the Twilight. It's from our friends at NIS America. Really, really awesome art style in this game. It's like a 2D side-scrolling puzzle game. You've got a girl and then you've got a monster who you control. These two characters, and you're trying to utilize them to solve puzzles. There's a time-stopping mechanic with like the color red. Check this game out, dude. This looks pretty sweet, man. This might be something that you'd get into.
Cool.
But I think it looks totally rad. Faerun is also coming to Vita this week. This is a low-budget. Kind of throwback to the original Legend of Zelda. It's a 8-bit RPG. And Licked Spear. This one coming to the Vita this week. I played this on the Indie Spotlight on the PS4, and this game's actually pretty cool, man. Got a totally rad soundtrack. Soundtrack in this game is awesome. It's a goofy game about a guy with a javelin who's out there to thwart the forces of evil that are descending on his village or on these levels. And it's strange in that you just stand, and it's kind of like, I don't know, like an Angry Birds or something. You've got to line up your spear and just keep throwing it. Like you stand in one place, you don't move around. It's simply just a matter of throwing your spear. But there's quite a bit of technique involved. There's bosses. There's a lot to trying to line up the perfect shot. And I actually had a pretty good time playing this, man. This is going to be cool on the Vita. It's cross-buy as well, so if you already have it on the PS4, it'll be on the Vita this week as well. I'll be downloading that as well, or alongside Salt and Sanctuary, which I still have to do. So that's your PlayStation releases for the week. On the Xbox One side of things, Yooka-Laylee, of course, coming to Xbox One as well. And note on this, Xbox Play Anywhere support will be coming to Yooka-Laylee soon. to be able to play this across PC and Xbox via Windows with that. So that's awesome. Stardew Valley getting the Collector's Edition on the Xbox One as well. Crawl, Arrow, and the Sexy Brutale are coming to the platform this week. And, of course, the Dishonored 2 free trial is available now on the Xbox One as well. Let's hop into Nintendo, Brent. What we missed last week with the Switch. Vroom in the Night Sky, a flying bicycle game. Not sure about that one. Arcade Archives Neo Geo Alpha Mission 2, the classic Neo Geo game, is available on the eShop now for $7.99. And Just Dance 2017 has a free demo. So I know you've been itching to see what this game's all about on the Switch. Now's your chance, dude. This week on the Switch, the one title we know is coming this week is the Jackbox Party Pack 3. So for $25, you can hop in on the party action this Thursday. On the Wii U, what we missed last week, a couple of TurboGrafx 16 Virtual Console titles are available now for $5.99, and that's World Sports Competition and the Shoot 'em Up Superstar Soldier. We don't know anything that's coming to the platform this week. On the 3DS side of things, we hit everything last week, and this week you can pick up Scoopin' Birds, which is a game about scooping up birds. That's literally it. So that's $7.99. That'll be out Thursday. That's it for the new releases. Brent, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. It was a big week this week. We finally got to see some final specs for the Microsoft Project Scorpio. And first thing that jumps out to me is this thing is as beastly as they made it out to be. You know, there was a lot of talk at E3 when they first announced Project Scorpio. They threw a lot of big words out there, and there was like a lot of hyperbole behind it. But based on what we heard from Digital Foundry, which is who Microsoft went to confirm this reveal, because I mean, let's be honest, Digital Foundry is one of the best there is when it comes down to analyzing tech and explaining tech to people, whether they're really good at understanding tech, or for idiots like me, they had an article for that to explain everything in the simplest terms possible. But
I think we're all idiots compared to Digital Foundry when it comes to this stuff, man.
Yeah, when I first popped in and watched the video of Rich talking about this thing, I understood like maybe 10% of what he was saying.
Yeah, dude, that video was a little much.
Yeah. And so that took some, I had to kind of dig around with what he was saying, but then they actually, up on their site, they released an article that was kind of simplified things for people to understand what they're talking about with this system. But I want to go to you first, initial impressions of what you saw, and let's talk about the actual, this thing was basically just the reveal of the final specs. I mean, we got to see some pictures of Forza explaining, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but let's talk about your initial reaction to the reveal and how it was revealed. I mean, we look back at the PlayStation 4 Pro reveal, just a disastrous reveal. I mean, it was not ideal. They did a very poor job at getting the message across to the viewers, especially the ones that were watching on the internet. But let's talk about this reveal, and what you took away from the specs.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like you said, the specs, when basically what it all boils down to is this is the most powerful console that's ever been created. Like Microsoft said many, many times before, this is going to be the most powerful console ever. Eurogamer has gone in, via Digital Foundry, and they've basically backed that claim up. This is, lo and behold, the most powerful system ever created. And it's not a surprise. I mean, really, Brent, when it comes down to it, for all intents and purposes, we don't know much more about the Scorpio this week than we did prior, right? This is basically just confirming what we've already been talking about. We confirmed the 6 teraflops of power. So, what does that mean? Basically means, like you said, it's the most powerful system ever. It's got such and such 4 times more powerful than the Xbox, yada, yada, yada. They confirmed the 12 gigabytes of RAM, which we had heard about. They confirmed the memory bandwidth, which I think is 326 gigabytes a second or whatever it is. So we know that, from a memory perspective, developers have a lot of good stuff to work with. They've confirmed that the CPU, the GPU, all that kind of stuff that we've heard about, and they just kind of put a raw number on everything now. They set it in stone. These are the final specs for the project, and that's awesome, dude. That's exciting. If you're a game player, if you're a fan of Xbox, like, you're excited about this reveal because of what this could mean for games in the future. So The other thing that was cool about, you talk about Rich from Digital Foundry getting a chance to go over there and see this stuff, but I didn't feel like this was canned. Like, I felt like he was legitimate when he was talking about this, but like he seemed like he was genuinely impressed by what he saw from Scorpio and the customization in the technology and what Microsoft's going to be able to do with this platform when push comes to shove. So, he was legitimately impressed with the manufacturing that went into this, and the way he described it is Microsoft is also like really, really excited about this. Like, they're proud of what Project Scorpio is becoming and will become this holiday season when it releases. And I don't think there's any question that it's going to be released this holiday. It's pretty much set in stone now. So as far as the actual reveal of the console, Brent, or not the console, but the spec reveal, I've been going kind of back and forth on this because really, like you said, dude, that video that they put out was almost incomprehensible to anybody but the most hardened, like, PC nerd,
right?
Like, in teraflops and bandwidth and all this stuff that they're talking about in here. Most of us, the laymen, have no idea what it means. So, in that respect, I was like, man, is anybody really going to get anything out of this? Like, do they even really know what's going on? But they had a couple other articles here and there, like you said, some of the things that explain things a little bit more. And when it comes down to it, this was a reveal that was for the hardcore fans. And that's who Microsoft is targeting with this box, for better or for worse. Like, they're going after certainly the hardcore game fan, but also just the hardcore Xbox fan. Like really, more than anything. Like, they're giving you reasons to upgrade your Xbox One or your 360 to a Scorpio. And I think that's going to be the main audience for this thing. I don't know if you agree with me or not. But I'm not sure how many people are going to jump into the Xbox ecosystem because of this system. Some of the tech people that have a new 4K TV or that are really into this stuff are going to, certainly. But how many of the average gamer are going to jump into the Scorpio, are going to jump into the Xbox world with the Scorpio? I'm not sure of that answer just yet. So, while the reveal is a little bit strange to have, the tech reveal and stuff, at the end of the day, I think it's cool. It gets the nitty-gritty stuff out of the way. We now know some of the hardcore specs about the system. And I want to ask you too, man, when you're jumping in here, but do you think that they need to show us a separate Scorpio conference where they like reveal the system or whatnot? From what Eurogamer was alluding to with this, it doesn't sound like we're going to hear anything else about this until E3. That was the vibe I got from what they saw, and they also hinted very strongly that the form factor of this thing is nice. They hinted very strongly that this is not going to be the monstrous box that some of us thought this was going to be. This is going to be a sleekly designed system, more in line with what we saw from the Xbox One S. So that's exciting to think about as well. But do you think they should do another Scorpio reveal where they reveal the console and all that stuff, or do you think all that stuff's cool for E3? Personally, I'm fine with it. We have the specs out now. I think if they go into E3, kind of start the conference with giving us the system and the price and rolling out what it looks like, and then just roll into the games from there, I think that's a solid strategy to go with. But overall, a very, very impressive sounding system, and we'll see where things go from here.
Yeah, I think they did this the right way. They got this stuff, like, as you mentioned, this is stuff that Rich is talking about, only the most hardened of gaming enthusiasts, people that know this stuff, like teraflops and GPUs and CPUs. This gets all that stuff off of the E3 stage. They don't want to have to sit there and talk about this stuff on an E3 stage when people are there just to see games. You get this stuff out of the way. I still think E3 would be a good spot to showcase the system, because that's all that's going to take is like maybe 5 minutes. You raise the curtain. There's the Xbox Scorpio. You already know the specs. You already know the guts, what's inside of it, and then boom, let's go into gameplay demonstrations. So I think they've set themselves up nicely. They've got the nitty gritty stuff out of the way. And the stuff that might confuse people. I mean, this stuff, like I said, it sounds awesome. This system is a beast. But at the end of the day, much like the way I was with the Pro, I want to see what it can do. And we got a little bit of a glimpse of that with the Forza Horizon, the video, the photo they showed that the game was running at native 4K, 60 frames, with only using, I think, overall 60% of the actual system ability. So they've got some overhead there. Now, look, racing games are a lot different than every other game. But at the same time, racing games are beautiful-looking games. And the fact that they still have a lot of overhead to add to a game like Forza, which is a beautiful-looking racing game, that speaks volumes to the tech that we're talking about here. But
I believe, just on that real quick, I don't remember if it was in one of their videos or in one of their articles, but they talked about the kind of like the scaling between the Xbox One and the Scorpio, and how, in a Forza game, when you have all of the cars on the racetrack and you have weather and everything's factored in, that the game uses 85-90% of the CPU, GPU, or whatever it is on the Xbox One. And they said that we can expect similar things on the Scorpio. So even when you juice it with everything that can go into the game, it sounds like there's still going to be a little bit there left to work with.
And that's just going to make things a lot more beautiful. And you talk about who is this system for? And look, I was skeptical of the Pro. I liked what I saw. We saw the Pro. I was like, okay, this is a stronger system. It was good enough to get me to go out and buy a 4K TV and buy the Pro. And now I look at this thing and I'm thinking, man, this thing is really, really strong. This is very enticing to me. As a tech whore, I mean, that's where it is. I'm a tech whore. I want to see how this game looks. I have a PC that can run a lot of games at 1080p, 60 frames or higher, and I would love to see that on my big screen. And that's what the Scorpio is going to allow me to do. There's a lot of things that come into place, though, that we still need to see. We have to see a price. The price is going to be key here. In my opinion, the price is the most important thing. I know there's a lot of talk about where are their games, and that's a valid claim, because if we look at the Pro, when we learned about the Pro, we knew Horizon was coming, we knew Nier was coming, we knew Neo was coming. You have Persona 5. We have all these games on the PlayStation 4 that you're like, okay, I want to get a Pro because I want to see all these games running on Pro. Plus, you got the third-party support, the third-party games running on Pro. That's awesome. That's why I was like, I have no problem buying a Pro. Look, I know there's a lot of people excited for Sea of Thieves, and that's great. I'm not a Forza. I'm not a racing guy. I'm not a Forza. I'm not a Gran Turismo. Unless it's Burnout. Unless it's Burnout, I'm not gonna buy a system for a racing game, ever. But we all know that the only people that are going to get the most out of this system are going to be first-party studios. Sea of Thieves is not going to be a system seller in terms of specs. It's not going to be a visual powerhouse game. We've seen screenshots. Crackdown 3 is obviously, in my opinion, I think that's the one game that Microsoft is going to use to showcase this thing. I don't know anything about Crackdown.
No question.
Yeah.
No question they're going to trot that out of E3 with this thing.
I have no experience with Crackdown, so I can't get hyped for that. I want to see Gears of War. I want to see Halo on this thing. I want to see them getting the most out of the system in a game that's action-packed and a lot of stuff going on. That's what E3 is going to be for. They're going to have to show Halo 6. Okay, they're going to have to show something Halo-related. I don't think they can go through all their E3 press conferences saying, here's Crackdown 3. Okay, I've talked to a couple people who are Xbox fans. They even tell me, they're like, dude, Crackdown 3 is not a system seller. The Crackdown franchise is not a system seller. I mean, they could try it out Crackdown 3, and it might be the most incredible thing, and that narrative changes. But I want to see some big first-party games. My concern with the third-party stuff is I don't know, a lot of these engines that third-party stuff uses is designed for 30 frames. And, you're going to have the PS4 Pro version they got to work on. They're going to have the PS4 version they got to work on. They're going to have the Xbox with the base Xbox One. How much separation are these developers really going to have time for to really get the most out of every single system, along with PC if that's where their game is at? The first-party titles are the ones that I want to see on the Scorpio. Just like Horizon Zero Dawn looks absolutely fantastic on the PS4 Pro. And it looks better than most third-party games that I've played. I want to see first-party Xbox games on the Scorpio at E3. That's what I really need to see. But as of right now, from what we know, I'm not going to get that out of Sea of Thieves. I'm not going to get that out of Cuphead. I want to see big first-party titles. And that's what they need to do, is they need to try out some games. But for me, I've got a 4K TV. The Scorpio is very appealing to me. I love the way these that games look at 60 frames, 4K. I need to know the price. That's the biggest concern I have.
That's pretty much where I'm at, man. It's just it's one of the reasons I don't have an Xbox right now is I just don't have a compelling enough reason to jump into the ecosystem yet. Like I'm not as attached to the first party properties there as I am on some of the other platforms. So, when I look towards the future, a future that no longer includes Scalebound, it's like, Sea of Thieves, I've never had any interest in that game from day one. Never had a single iota of interest in it. So that's not doing anything for me. I do want to see Crackdown 3. I love superheroes. The idea of a big, lavish, over-the-top, open-world, superhero kind of game appeals to me. And Crackdown, they're not necessarily superheroes, but they have, superpowers and stuff that they can do. So I don't think there's any question that is going to be one of the showpiece titles for Scorpio. It's got to be. They've been talking about it for a long time. And, now's the time to trot this thing out before it's too late. So Crackdown 3 definitely going to be there. So I'm interested to see that one. But outside of that, like you said, Gears just came out. We just had Gears of War 4. There's not going to be a Gears of War 5. What they're going to do is they'll show us what Gears of War 4 looks like in 4K.
Right.
That's cool. Halo, I don't think we're ready for Halo 6 yet, right? We're not that far removed from Halo 5. We're a year and a half out.
That's why I think we will see some Halo 6. How much? I don't know. I think we're going to get a Halo 6 announcement. They got to have Halo. They got to have one of these big titles to push this system to get.
I mean,
people
are they just going to rush a new Halo out? I mean, is that what the people want?
I mean, we don't know we don't know when they started development on Halo 6. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to develop a Halo game. I mean, has there always been multiple years between Halo titles, or?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big AAA franchise. They just came out with Halo 5 a year and a half ago. For them to have Halo 6 already ready, I'd be very shocked.
And I'm not
shocked.
And I'm not saying having it ready to go. I'm saying have a segment of the game, a very small portion of it, or just a trailer, something to get people. They have to have something with Halo there. I mean, I don't think they can run out Halo 5 at 4K and be like, hey, this is awesome. Like you said, it's a year and a half old. I mean, if they're going to try anything out there, it's going to be Gears 4, and get a look at that at 4K. Maybe some of the improvements that they made to get it closer to the PC version. But I think they got to have something Halo there, man. I don't think it's going to be a full-on oh my god, Halo 6, and here's a whole 20-minute playthrough. I think they got to show something with Halo 6 though.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's too early, man. What I could see them doing is maybe they trot out a single player expansion for Halo 5. I could see them doing something like that, like a mini campaign or something that shows off the game in 4K, and then maybe they show a little logo or something like when Battlefront was originally announced. It was a 30-second trailer that showed a speeder and a AT-AT, and showed a logo. Maybe they show us a single player Halo 5 expansion and a little teaser for Halo 6 after that or something. I could see them doing something like that, but I don't see us getting any kind of substantial Halo 6 reveal outside of a very, very brief teaser. Look, we all know Halo 6 is coming. We all know they're making it. So, if they want to show us a logo or something, I don't know that does anything. I just feel like they'd have to trot something out there. It's been a year and a half, right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
It came out last
October,
the fall before.
October, November of 2015, I believe it was.
Yeah. So, I just think anything this soon, man, could just feel like maybe they're just rushing it. I don't know.
That's true.
But we'll have to see, and that's the thing, man. Microsoft's going to have to paint a compelling picture at E3 for what the future looks like for this platform. I know what the future looks like for PlayStation right now. There's a ton of really cool games on the horizon from first party, and from second party. I know what the future looks like kind of, for Nintendo. Like, we know we're getting Mario. We know some of the things that are rumored to be in the works. Like, we have an idea of what's coming from them. But Microsoft's first party has always been kind of it's always been kind of an enigma. Like, outside of Gears of War, Forza, and Halo, which are going to be there and will probably always be there, we don't know what else is in the pipeline from them.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't know what we're going to get from Crackdown 3 and from Sea of Thieves and whatever else anybody's working on. So, I'll be very curious to see what happens at E3 when they trot this thing out and try to show off, what games we're going to be playing. Obviously, like you said, you get the third parties as well. We know Shadow of War is going to feature on there, and it's going to have it's Scorpio mode or whatever on it. The other thing is, I wonder how much of a difference will we see, especially in the third-party games that have a Scorpio mode and that have a PS4 Pro mode. Like, and it's one of the things that Digital Foundry talks about as well. But in something like Horizon, the techniques that they use and the checkerboarding and stuff, and even in something like Mass Effect, the techniques that they use in this game get the picture very close to what a 4K image or a native 4K image would look like. Mm-hmm. So, does this now become the case where we have, kind of like where we had the PS4 at 1080p and the Xbox One at 900p? Like, it's really, not a huge difference there in the grand scheme of things. So, do we see that in these games? Because, like they talked about, this is not suddenly going to make a 30 frames game a 60 frames game on the Scorpio. Right. That's not what's going to happen. What it's going to allow developers to do is hit their target frame rate. Mm-hmm. So if your game is targeting 30 frames, it's going to be 30 frames on the Scorpio. It's just going to look a lot better. Mm-hmm. If your game's targeting 60 frames, it's probably going to hit 60 frames and look a lot better. So, how much how much are we able to distinguish the difference between those platforms when we see this kind of stuff? I'll be really interested to see that, mm-hmm. like how much of a difference there is in terms of that. And so a lot of questions, and it's another one of those things, dude, that we talked about. It's we're not going to be able to see the Scorpio until we see it ourselves in person. Like, right. They're not going to be able to show this to us in a conference, and hopefully they'll have these things set up at Best Buy or GameStop, whatever it is. Maybe Best Buy with like a 4K TV they'll have to have running this thing so we can really see what it can do. But a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of excitement, though, to see what this thing can do and how it's going to factor into all this. It's going to be very, very fascinating to now watch how Microsoft and Sony jostle each other for the future here. It's I don't know. I think it's fun to watch, man.
I think it's a blast. And I mean, we talked about this a while back, but I mean, this is Microsoft just, they're a prideful company. They're a prideful tech division. They don't like the whole narrative. They for 3 years they've had to listen to the narrative. The PS4 yep. Pro or the PS4 is the better running games and all that stuff. And Microsoft has a lot of very smart people, a lot of smart engineers. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft did what they had to do to change the narrative and to kind of take the reins back as the most powerful console out there. But what's going to happen now is Sony's going to have a couple years and they're going to look at what they've got and what Microsoft has. And they're going to have to now it's no longer where, you're both launching side by side and you're trying to guess what the other person has. Microsoft has set it up now where we're going to see innovation with each one, with each launch. So now we've got the Scorpio. Sony's going to look at those specs and be like, okay, here's what we need to do with PS5. And they'll probably be out a little bit earlier before the Xbox. Who knows? And the Xbox will be like, okay, here's what they've essentially set it up to where they're going to try to outdo one another, and it's going to be a fun ride. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of kick-ass stuff. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. But it's nice to see Microsoft say, hey, look, we're not going to sit back. For 3 years we've gotten our butts kicked in this narrative about resolution and all this stuff. For whatever reason, this is important to a lot of people. But for them to come out and release a system like this shows they're very committed and they're very serious about gaming. And when that happens, it's just good for the industry. It's good for everybody. And it's going to be curious to see how Sony responds down the line. I'm really excited about this. Overall, I think this is great. Like I said, my only concern with this right now is the price. That's the only thing I need to know. I've bought a 4K TV. I'm ready to adopt the tech that allows me to get the most out of it. But if they usher this thing out there at more than $499, that's going to be tough for me. Because like I said, I want if $4.99, damn it, I better see some kick-ass first-party games. Because I know those are going to be the games that are going to get the most out of the system.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the thing for me is price, dude. Make it a competitive price, not something asinine, and I'll be there. I'll be there.
So your make or break price for this thing is $4.99.
That dude, it's $4.99 is where it's got to be for me. If we start going above that to the the 550 or the 600 range, that's like I'm gonna have to see a lot of games and I'm gonna have to see a lot of awesome features on this thing.
I'm not sure I believe you. I think whatever price this thing ends up at, you're probably gonna get it.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. There's no way.
But man, I was Gama Sutra. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Gama Sutra. They had an article come out this week where they were interviewing a lot of the different analysts in the industry and stuff, and kind of getting their thoughts on the Scorpio and asking them what they thought the price would be. And one guy was up, and he said that he thought that the specs and everything pointed to a unit that would cost $650 to make, and that if Microsoft wanted to sell it for a profit, they'd have to push it out for like $700. Now, there's no way in hell this thing's $700.
No,
they won't sell one of these at all. And that's going to be the interesting thing, Digital Foundry noted that they thought maybe this thing would go for $499. That to me would seem like a hell of a price for a system that can do the things that they're talking about it can do. The question is, and we haven't seen this yet in the industry, we haven't seen anything priced above $399 really take off from a home console perspective. Like that's been like the cutoff. And I think that's why Sony like strived to hit that with the PlayStation 4 Pro. That from what we've seen in the past, things above that have struggled to take off. Even the original Xbox, when it launched, it was $499, and while it sold well, it didn't sell as well as it could have if it was cheaper. So I don't know, dude. It's like even at $499, is that going to be a tough sell for people? Are people ready to dive into this premium console at that price? Is Microsoft even anticipating that? Are they simply just trying to take the people that are already a part of Xbox and already love Xbox and just get them to buy this? Like, is that the goal?
I think those are the most likely to buy it. I mean, if you look at somebody who has a PS4 Pro and that's all they have, okay, that's probably where all their friends are playing. They've got an awesome first party lineup coming, and they've got third party games that look great. They look really, really good. Are they going to be like, man, I got to go out and get a Scorpio? I don't know. Especially if it's priced super high, I'm going to say no. Then there's myself. I've got a Pro. I've got an Xbox One S, and I have a PC that can run a lot of these games at the highest settings and run very, very good. There's going to be people like that who be like, if this thing is over $499, do I really need it? Do I really need it without the first-party support? Without the big first-party titles? I don't know. But for Xbox people who own an Xbox One,
even with that, dude, you'll with the Play Anywhere program, you'll basically be able to play those games on your Windows PC, right?
Yep, this is true. That's very, very true. But again, that's the tech core in me is the problem with that. There's no rationalizing with somebody who just wants the best tech. But then if you look at like Xbox One, people who own an Xbox One or an Xbox One S, they're going to be thinking, hell yeah, I want this thing. And all of a sudden the price might not matter as much, especially if there's like they can trade in their Xbox One to kind of knock down that price a little bit. They're going to be the ones who are going to be most likely to do it. No doubt about it. If I had an Xbox One or an Xbox One S and nothing else, this thing's days are numbered. I'm just I'm just waiting for the pre-orders. That's all I'm waiting on. I'm going to put my money down on it, a little bit down to just secure it. And then when the day before the thing comes out, bye, you're out of here. I mean, I'm upgrading for sure, because you're going to get the best version of third party games. You're going to get the first party games are going to be fantastic, and whatever other features and bells and whistles that come with it. Xbox owners are the primary target right now, and rightfully so. That thing's a beast compared to what the Xbox One and the S is.
So let me ask you then, man. Does Microsoft even? This sounds silly to say this, and this may not be the best way to phrase this question, but does Microsoft even care how many of these Scorpios they sell? or is essentially each one of these they sell like a bonus because they're taking somebody who already owns an Xbox and may not have purchased another console this generation. They're now selling them a new console for $500-$600, whatever this thing's going to be, and they're getting that money out of them. So is this kind of like just like a bonus for them, or do they really need to find a way to pull in other people and get them on board with the Scorpio, or maybe they see the press behind the Scorpio and then they get interested in maybe the entry level console with the S? You know, what's the end game here for the Scorpio, and what do you think?
See, I think the price determines all of that. I think the price is like I said, I think the price is the biggest thing right now, because in the end, the Xbox One Scorpio is just an extension of the Xbox One. Mm-hmm. The CPU isn't a massive upgrade that you would see in a next-gen console.
No.
If this thing's a ridiculous price, is anyone going to be like, man, do I want to pay a ton of money for a system that's going to be obsolete when the next Xbox comes out or when the PS5 comes out? Mm-hmm. You know, if this was a next-gen system with a far more advanced CPU, then I think it'd be more justified. But this is still an Xbox One. The system is designed to push 4K and improve frame rates if possible. But in the end,
that's the key there. Yeah.
In the end, this is still an Xbox One, and that's going to be again. That comes down to the price, dude. If it's $499 or less, the thing will sell. Not only from Xbox fans, but other people are like, now I want to get this thing. But if it's over $499, dude, you're targeting just the Xbox people.
And that's I'm not even so sure of that, man. I still think $399's, we've seen that as the breaking point in the console industry. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even so sure at $499 that this thing's going to be, you know, selling like hotcakes, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I'm not even sure it needs to do that to be a success for them. So I'll be there's no question this is going to be more than the PlayStation 4 Pro. There's no question. Mm-hmm. And so with that as our base at $399, this thing has to be at least $499, right? Like if they get this thing underneath that's like a hell of a feat, right?
Right.
I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
So $499 has to be like the starting point for this thing, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was higher, you know, with some of the tech that we've heard in this thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. So do they? You know, I think it'll be interesting at E3 if they start the conference telling us the price. I think it's probably a good price. If they save the price until the end of the conference, maybe not. Well, yeah. It might be a bank buster, right, if it comes at the end. But they've said this is a premium product. They're going to market it as such, and you know, with premium products come premium prices, dude.
Yeah.
So, you know, the question is just how premium that price is going to be. I just don't think they can go higher than $499. I mean, it's like I said, it's a tough sell over $399. Mm-hmm. But maybe with the tech that's in this thing, you can justify it. I mean, obviously you could justify it. It's a beast of a machine. But when you go above $499 in the console space, and I know the console space is changing right now, but that's just suicide, man.
Mm. We got to find out what the sweet spot. I think once Microsoft sets it in stone, here's the price, then we'll really know people's interest and where people stand. But the reason Microsoft is releasing this thing, the reason they want this thing out there mainly is they want to win back developers. Like I said, there's been this narrative all gen that the PS4 is where you want to be. It's for the best running third-party games, for the best running games and all this stuff. And Microsoft is trying to change that narrative. And they've got one foot through the door with the specs of this system. And with the specs, they're trying to do what PlayStation did with the PS4. They created a system that was developer-friendly, giving them the tools, giving them the power, the resources they need to make the games they really want to make. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing with that's what Microsoft's doing with the Scorpio. According to Mike Ibarra, Microsoft was in part motivated by a desire to win developers back after the launch of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in 2013. Here's what Mike had to say. The team looked back at developers and the developer relationship we have. With the Xbox 360, we had the absolute best platform for developers, but we sort of lost that in the 2-year time frame. So we said, how do we win the mind share of those developers back? We want the best games running on our box, and there are tools, dev kits, and some arrows like that to win the developers back. So that was a big priority for us as we approached this product. We have to win the hearts and minds of the developers. We have to have the right tool set that lets them bring out their games across the whole family of products and let them create the absolute best version of those games. So, I mean, that's Microsoft's goal. They want the best versions of their game. And this all goes back to the narrative that started in 2013 with the PS4. Dude, they want it now. It's their time. They want the best games on their system. Simple as that.
Think about this, dude. By the time the Scorpio comes out, Microsoft will have been hearing this for 4 years. 4 years of your game is the inferior game. And, you know, all the Digital Foundry videos and this and that, the 900Ps, all this crap we've heard for the last 4 years. For 4 years, they've had to deal with this. And this is a company that created the original... this is Microsoft, a pioneer in computing and designs, and they're not used to playing second fiddle to anybody. When they made the original Xbox, when that thing came out, it was the most powerful system. It was the first one that could do HD and it was forward thinking with Ethernet ports and all this kind of stuff. It was a great machine. Then they come out with the Xbox 360, a machine that compared to the PlayStation 3, it probably had a little less power, but was much easier to develop for. And, at the end of the day, third parties got a lot more out of that machine than they did out of the PlayStation 3.
And it didn't help that the PlayStation 3, with the price,
yeah,
obviously that built the install base of the 360, and developers like, hey, look, here's where the install base is.
Exactly.
That's the system that's going to get the best versions.
Exactly. So a very successful system in the Xbox 360. And then when they get to the Xbox One, they want to continue that. They just kind of got off on the wrong foot, and some of the leadership within Xbox at that time, maybe, that they obviously didn't have that gamer first mentality that Phil Spencer brings and that he's been championing now. So with the Xbox One, they took a little bit of a misstep, and PlayStation then had to learn from what they saw Xbox doing. And like you said, they went back to the drawing board. They made the most powerful system they could that was easy for developers to work on. And that's why the PlayStation 4 has been such a roaring success. And the Xbox One's been successful as well. It just hasn't been as successful as PS4, and that's kind of where the disparity is coming in. So they've been hearing that for 4 years, and now, like you said, dude, they want to change the narrative. They're taking back that design philosophy and that sensibility that they brought into the 360 and to the original Xbox. They're now bringing that back with Scorpio, where they're making this beast of a machine that's designed really, really well, that's going to get the most out of your console games now. And the developers are excited about it, and Microsoft's excited about it, and now the ball's going to be back in Sony's court to try to respond to that. And like you said, now we end up on these off years, where we've got the Scorpio coming out, a year after the Pro. We're in the middle of this generation. So now they're going to be kind of off in terms of when they bring out their consoles, and, we'll have to see what Sony's next move is from here. When do we see the PlayStation 5? Does this accelerate when they start talking about it? They didn't start talking about the PlayStation 4 until the year it came out. They unveiled it in February. It was out in November. So, do they now have to start talking about the PlayStation 5 earlier than they would have originally, because now the Scorpio's out and it's going to be taking all the headlines and it's going to be the most powerful system, yada yada yada. Does Sony now want to try and get back into that conversation? And they're like, they saw what Microsoft did. They at last E3 they announced the Scorpio, and we're going to be, by the time it comes out, almost a year and a half on from that announcement. Do they then try and take that tack? Do they let people know, hey, we're going to be the new kid on the block and the most powerful console on the block in a year's time? Like, do they take that approach now? It's going to be fun to watch, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's like I said, this is why I love console gaming, man. I just love watching everybody take a step forward, push each other. What do you think's going on at Nintendo's R&D right now?
They're I don't know, they're probably trying to think of their next off the wall concept.
They're just trying to figure out how to get Skyrim, the PS3 version, running on the Switch. But let's talk about a couple of things that the Scorpio will actually, the 5 ways the Scorpio will make your Xbox One and Xbox 360 games better.
Yeah, this stuff's cool too. I like this.
Yeah, you can expect smoother performance and no screen tearing. Obviously, with the extra GPU usage, You won't have any problems with the game, hitting a smoother frame rate and screen rating. Similar to what we saw with boost mode on the PS4 Pro, some of these games are able to hold a better frame rate than what they were on the base model PS4.
Yeah.
So
I don't know the exact tech behind it, but it's basically like it's going to be hitting its target frame rate, so it won't have to tear to keep the frames up or whatever.
Right. This one's nice. The maximum possible resolution on dynamic titles. So these titles where the resolution adjusts dynamically, so the frame rate can be more stable. They might target 1080p, but in certain instances they drop down to 900p or even 720p, depending on what's going on the screen. These Xbox One games, even these 360 games, are going to stay at 1080p. You don't have to worry about it fluctuating and going back and on. You're going to have a steady 1080p image regardless of what's going on screen.
Now tell me this, Brent. I'm not 100% clear on this. Now, is all this just going to be just natively handled right on the console there, or are there going to have to be patches for these games in order for this stuff to happen?
I think it depends on the game itself. If it's a game that already is set up dynamically, it's going to just that's the beauty of this system. It's not going to need a patch. It's just going to hit its mark. It's just going to use the resources, the extra resources, to happen dynamically. Now, if a developer has a game that's running at 900p, that's going to need a patch for it to hit 1080p.
Okay.
So it's like boost mode with some of these games where the frame rate's not locked. Say they're targeting 60, but it's kind of fluctuating, it's bouncing around. With boost mode, it's able to hit a steady 60, or in the case of Rainbow Six Siege, just go through the roof.
Yeah, 100 or whatever it's hitting.
Just something absurd. But, the games where everything is locked in place, those are going to need patches. But the stuff that has like an unlocked frame rate or it has a dynamic resolution, it's just the system is designed. The games are designed to look at the system and be like, okay, look, I have these extra resources. You're good to go.
Yeah. And, that's another interesting thing there, too. But Digital Foundry mentioned that the engine, or the Scorpio engine, as they call it, that they've created, is able to natively render not just 1080p games, but 900p games at 4K as well. So they're going to be able to take these games that were 900p, like, Battlefield 1, for instance, I think ran at 900p on Xbox One. So they'll be able to take that and run it at 4K on the Scorpio. I'm not sure if they need a patch for that or how that works, but the tech that's in there is going to allow them to upscale 900p or natively render 900p games at 4K, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You can expect improved texture filtering. Now we're kind of getting into some things that I'm fuzzy about, and I don't want to sit here and pretend I know what the hell that is. But improved texture filtering, I'm assuming that means images will load much quicker. You won't have images coming in slowly. It'll just be improved filtering. Everything's going to look nice and neat quicker. So that's my understanding of improved texture filtering. If I'm wrong,
sounds good.
podcast@shortpause.com. Help me out. I'm not pretending to know what all this shit means. Yeah. Also, Scorpio game DVR support. This is rad.
This is sweet, too, yeah.
This is sweet. The DVR can record 4K 60.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So, if you see something going on screen, or if you want to capture something, no more 720p or anything, or 30, capped at 30 frames.
How big is that file going to be?
Oh, my gosh. Thank God it's got 1 terabyte in it, because it's going to be a big file. I'm sure there'll probably be a limit on the time, because a 4K 60 frame, 20-minute video is going to be gigabytes. Many gigabytes.
Many gigs.
But the fact that you can take like a short 10-second clip and get 4K 60 out of it, forget about it. That's awesome. That's great. And then lastly, faster loading. So these Xbox 360 games, these Xbox One games that might take a little while to load, with all the extra RAM and everything, it's going to be able to process the loads quicker, and you won't have to wait as long. So, you're going to see a lot of benefits from these older Xbox One games and the Xbox 360 back compact games. There's a lot of benefits here for Scorpio owners that you're going to see on these older titles.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious to see how the 360 games end up on this thing. Obviously, we're a generation removed from that right now, so I'm really interested to see what the Scorpio does to those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I'm just not a backwards compatible guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not either.
Yeah,
it's more of a curiosity.
I'm telling you right now, the only game I'll ever spend a lot of time on backwards compatible is SOCOM 2. I've said it 1,000 times. It's the only game I'll revisit and play religiously.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of great games that are backwards compatible. No interest. I'm going forward. I have barely enough time to enjoy this year, new gen stuff.
Way too many games.
Way too many
games out to worry about the previous gen.
But so yeah, those are some of the 5 things. Those are some of the 5 ways that you'll see improvements on Xbox One and Xbox 360 games. But overall, boys, I mean, we've talked about where this puts Sony. I mean, this puts Sony in a position where it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. I mean, obviously they've got the software to keep PlayStation 4 owners and PS4 Pro owners excited and even attract new buyers. So they have a lot of great titles in the pipeline, in the works, games we don't even know about are I'm sure they have yet to announce. But they have, for the foreseeable future, a lot of big first-party titles, a second-party title like Spider-Man. I mean, they've got some big stuff to keep people interested in the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 Pro and the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation in general isn't going to just roll over and die. They've got the first-party support. They've got the software. That's important for PlayStation. That's going to keep PlayStation going. PlayStation isn't just going to fall off the map and die. Mm-hmm. Yes, they're going to have to surrender the most powerful console thing, and that goes a long way for consumers. There's a lot of consumers out there who want just the best. And, maybe it's not going to be somebody who has bullshit. It might be new adopters. They're going to be like, hey, look, I want the best system. I'm going to get a Scorpio. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, PlayStation's not in any kind of, danger right now. They're not going to roll over and die. I mean, PlayStation is just fine. But Xbox is doing a lot of good things with the Scorpio. They've changed the narrative, and that's going to win over a lot of people, not just newcomers, but Xbox One owners right now, too.
Yeah. Sony doesn't have to play catch-up. They're not playing catch-up. They're just fine where they're at. Microsoft is doing these things so they can play catch-up, so they can win back the developers, all that kind of stuff. That's why they're doing the Scorpio. So Sony's, they're going to be fine, and just like there's people that say that they want the best thing out there, there's also a ton of people that are like, I don't care about the power, I don't care about the resolution and all that yada yada. We've been hearing that for years. Mm-hmm. So now it's going to give those people an opportunity to put their money where their mouth is. Yep. Okay, you don't care about it? Cool. You're good with your system, play your games, yada yada yada. That's the unfortunate thing about all this, man, is while we get excited about watching this stuff and the kind of back and forth that's going to happen with Microsoft and Sony and how this is just going to mean better stuff for us as gamers in the future, there's a whole other group of people that take this and they make this this console war bullshit out of it. It's so irritating to watch these people and to hear about them, and I wish they would just go away. But it's exciting though to see where the future of gaming goes from here. When this stuff was originally unveiled, when they were talking about the mid-generation refreshes, we did a ton of shows about it, and I've always been excited about this prospect. I think it's a really interesting thing to explore with console development, and I remain excited about it, man. Excited to see where it goes from here. And at E3, I want Microsoft to sell me on this thing. I want to see some first-party stuff. I want to see what they're bringing to their platform that's going to differentiate themselves from Sony. Because really, that's what it comes down to, man. It's like the Xbox and PlayStation, they're very similar machines right now. Mm-hmm. Very similar machines. All the third-party games are the same. It's just those first-party games that separate them, and I need to see more from Xbox in that respect. So at E3, that's what I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching what Microsoft Game Studios has up their sleeve and what this thing can do, and I'm excited to see it, man.
I am too. We'll see, man. We're 2 months away from E3.
Yeah, it's coming up quick, dude.
2 months away. So with 2 months to go, I don't expect anything else from Scorpio from Microsoft. I don't think there'll be any kind of other reveal. It's going to be at E3. Like I said, they got all this text, the specs out of the way. We'll go there. We'll see the system, and then boom, let's see gameplay demos, demonstrations of new stuff we haven't heard about. If you want to show Gears of War 4, that's awesome. Please don't spend a lot of time on Forza or racing games. Show me some of the other stuff that we want to see. So.
I think we're in for some extended Forza time.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see Forza. I mean,
Forza's coming out this year. Forza 7 or whatever it is. So
I am in the minority. I don't like racing games, but there are a lot of people out there that want to see Forza. I want to see Forza because it's going to be spectacular looking, but I want to see games that I'm going to want to buy. I'm not going to buy Forza. I'm not going to buy Gran Turismo. I'm not going to buy any of these racing games. I suck at them. I have no interest in them. I already know they look fantastic, but I want to see how the big budget shooters, the adventure games, the action games, those are the games I want to see 4K 60 frames. Those are the ones I want to see. But that's our breakdown of the Xbox Scorpio. Very impressive tech. No question about it. This thing is a beast. It's going to be the most powerful console when it releases later this year. We just want to see some games. I want to see this thing in action. Okay, Sony pushed me over into 4K. I bought a TV. I'm fine with jumping into the Scorpio, but I want to see the price first and foremost, and then see what else they got planned for it. Let's keep it going here. We've got a couple more Xbox stories, then we're going to take a break. We've got City Skylines. This launches on Xbox One on April 21st. This is from developer Paradox Interactive. This launched on PC in 2015 and scored very, very well. It's at an 85 on Metacritic, 60 reviews. It's holding an 85. That's pretty good. Xbox One players will get to experience City Skylines first on console when it launches April 21st. So that tells us that PlayStation owners can probably expect this game at some point down the line. But a very, very popular city builder. Did very, very well on PC. I know Frankie's stoked about it. I think you already pre-ordered it. So you can expect to hear from Frankie on City Skylines when it launches. I lost interest in city builders way back in the day. I mean, I'm talking like the original Sim City. I played it for like a month of my life.
I'm right there with you. I think that was the last one I played was the original Sim City.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have the time or the patience or the intellect to build a city or run it. After a while, I just get bored. I'm like, I'm just going to order up a bunch of tornadoes and plane crashes and watch the city burn. So,
the one city building thing I liked, and it wasn't really a city builder, but an ActRaiser, classic Super Nintendo game, one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. But that game was split up into two sections. One of them was like you built your town and you had to build certain things to get into the actual levels that you would play, and I liked that. That was very rudimentary though when you compare it to SimCity.
Yeah, can't get into those games, man. They're just not for me. To those who love it, City Skylines sounds like it's a great game. April 21st, Xbox One owners will get a first stab at it. We also got a screenshot of Phantom Dust Remaster. On Twitter, Phil Spencer revealed a look at the Xbox One version of the Cult Card Battler action RPG hybrid. It's also coming to Windows PC 10. Phantom Dust was announced at E3 2016 with Microsoft updating the original Xbox game to feature improved online play. Spencer also made clear, as you can see in the photo, that the 30 FPS in the quarter wasn't necessarily indicative of the frame rate in all versions of the game, clarifying that this was played on a regular Xbox One as opposed to the in-development Scorpio console upgrade. So in the screenshot, if you look up in the corner, you can see where it says 30 frames. This is from the Xbox One version, the Scorpio version. I'm sure we'll be able to push this game a little higher than 30 FPS.
This is one that I'm confused about too, because Phantom Dust has been on kind of a whirlwind the last few years. So it had a studio that was developing a full-on remake of the game. That was shut down. The remake was canceled. Now we have a remaster going. And the last I had heard about this is that they almost were talking about it like it was a straight Xbox original port.
Yeah.
Like they weren't doing anything to it. They were just kind of putting it on the system. Maybe they're adding some online stuff to it. But I mean, the original game was like 480p or whatever it was. So I find it very hard to believe that they just trot that out there like that. So this screenshot doesn't look like a 480p screenshot.
No, it doesn't.
So I don't know exactly what they're doing with this game. I've never played Phantom Dust, but I guess people are excited about this. So we'll see. We'll see when this thing actually comes out.
But hey, that's your Xbox news. We're going to take a quick break. We've got some new music from Rual Ethan. Follow him on Twitter at Rual Ethan, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for providing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, the intermission. He produces some great music. Thanks again, Ruel. We really appreciate it. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check out his music on SoundCloud and iTunes. All right, boys. We got some other news to talk about. First up, Marvel Heroes Omega brings the superhero action RPG to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. What can you tell me about this? You went nuts in a couple of texts to me earlier this week. You were really excited about this game. Why are you pumped for this one, buddy?
I've been admiring this one from afar. It's been on PC for a little while now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free to play, basically MMO action RPG. It's kind of like the Marvel Heroes version of DC Universe Online.
Ooh.
Although they appear to play a little bit differently. The really interesting thing about Marvel Heroes and the Omega version that's coming over to consoles is that this appears to play almost like a Diablo type of game.
Oh.
So whereas DC Universe plays more similarly to like Final Fantasy, A Realm Reborn, or something along those lines, it plays like a more traditional MMORPG. This one looks more along the lines of like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, or like the X-Men Legends games, like the Diablo games, like that style of game. Just this kind of hack and slash, fast-paced, like loot grinding type of game. And that type of game with Marvel Heroes in an MMO setting with kind of this endless replayability and tons of stuff going on sounds really appealing to me, man. This thing's free to play, so you can download it. And from what I understand, this is a very generous game. Mm-hmm. So this is not one of the games where you're going to feel compelled to spend money in order to get anywhere in the game. Like this game gives you the unlock tokens to unlock the different heroes. You can get that just by playing the game. So I think that's really cool. People have been enjoying this game for a long time on the PC. It's always sounded like a great game from what I've read about it. And I'm excited that I'm finally going to be able to get to play this summer or later this spring, I guess, on consoles now. And yeah, like I would love to jump in here with you guys, man. I'd love to play some of this stuff. I love these MMO games. Like I love DC Universe Online, Final Fantasy. That like we talked about with Skyforge. There's just so many of these things, man. It's like where do you find the time to dedicate some yourself to Marvel Heroes Omega and get into like the raids and all the kind of stuff that goes into these games? Like where do you find the time? You just don't, and it's unfortunate. But this is a game I really want to play, man. I'd love for us to jump into this when it comes out.
I can tell you how not to find the time. Have kids, get married, and work a full-time job. That's how you can not find time. No, this sounds pretty cool. I'm always down to jump into an MMO, and if it's free to play, perfect. Jump into it. Go ahead.
What do you think about like a Diablo style game in this MMO setting like that?
Yeah, I think
just
that could be a
sounds
lot of
super
fun.
addicting.
Yeah, I think that could be really, really fun. I mean, it's a fresh take on an MMO. It's not your typical MMORPG. You mentioned on Skyforge, what does it do to set itself apart from other MMOs? I would say this is how you set yourself apart from other MMOs. You have a different play style, a different approach, a different way to play through the game. So I think that's something that makes it unique from all these other MMOs that are pretty much similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And people love the X-Men Legends games. They love the Ultimate Alliance games. Those games are really, really fun. So to take that style of game that people love with Marvel Heroes and inject it into like an MMO universe, that sounds like a winning formula to me, man. I'm excited to finally get a chance to play this.
And that comes out this spring. We don't have a set date.
Yeah, this spring. We don't have a set date on it yet. So sometime in the near future, I believe there's a beta that's going to be coming up as well that we'll be able to jump into, get an idea of how this is going to be. So we'll keep our eyes out for that as well.
Cool. Moving along, we got a quick PSA. This sucks because I do a lot of shopping at GameStop.
My card's on there too, so I'm watching this closely.
Very, very closely. GameStop credit card data may have been compromised. The video game retailer confirmed to IGN it was recently notified by a third party that payment data from cards used on GameStop.com was listed for sale on a website. GameStop says these claims are currently being investigated and advises consumers to keep an eye on their bank statements for any potential charges they didn't authorize.
That's comforting.
Yeah, that's really comforting. GameStop actually released a statement. At GameStop, the security of our customers' payment card data remains a top priority. GameStop recently received notification from a third party that it believed payment card data from cards used on the GameStop website was being offered for sale on another website. That day, a leading security firm was engaged to investigate these claims. GameStop has and will continue to work nonstop to address this report and take appropriate measures to eradicate any issues that may be identified. We regret concern this situation may cause for our customers. GameStop would like to remind its customers that it's always advisable to monitor payment card account statements for unauthorized charges. No kidding. If you identify such a charge, report it immediately to the bank that it issued the card, because payment card network rules generally state that cardholders are not responsible for any authorized charges that are timely reported. So, long story short, GameStop might have given up all your information. If you have any cards there, make sure you make note of them, and then keep an eye on those statements for any unauthorized charges, so you can nip that in the bud or cancel the card completely. I don't know what you got to do, but that sucks.
Just to let people know as well, they're investigating charges between mid-September of 2016 and February of 2017.
Okay.
So if you made charges on the website in that time period, you are a part of this probe. Okay. So I'm worried about this. I've fallen into that window. I've made some purchases in there. So it always sucks when you have to change your card, and then I'm oftentimes the card you have on here is the one that's connected to like your bills and stuff. So you're automatically paying your bills, so then you got to go and you got to change all those cards. It's a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried that it's taking this long as well. This story came out 2 or 3 days ago as we're recording this, and we still haven't heard anything. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna become of this, but just beware. Watch this story very closely. You may have to do some card cutting and changing of your accounts on here in the near future.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on that, guys and girls. Don't get had. That would suck.
It would.
Moving along. Boys, we talked about this game a little bit earlier before the show, and I didn't know this game had been announced. This is a game that must have slipped under my radar, but Agents of Mayhem from Saints Row developer Volition Studios will be releasing on August 15th. The title is their take on recent comic book and superhero phenomenon that takes over pop culture. Best summed up, Agent of Mayhem is like an R-rated version of G.I. Joe. Deep Silver Volition is finally taking a break from Saints Row, but its latest project doesn't fall too far from the tree. With its upcoming franchise, Agents of Mayhem, the developer brings its distinct brand of humor and applies it to a world that takes cue from Saturday morning cartoons. Who wouldn't love this? I mean, seriously, who wouldn't love this? The heroes and villains curse like sailors and end up in adult situations like an all-night bender involving a robot fight club.
That sounds pretty awesome.
From what you can tell from the trailer, this game looks completely over the top, much like Saints Row. I was bummed to find out that this does not have co-op. At least they haven't announced it, but there's no indication this is co-op. You mentioned to me that this is a game where you can quickly switch between all 12 of these characters. You control one at a time, play through the mission, and if you need to, you can change characters, correct?
You control 3 characters at a time. So each of the characters have different abilities, different powers, different things that they can do. So you kind of have to strategically choose who your 3-man or 3-woman team is going to be, and then you go out into the world and explore from there. Like they mentioned, one of the previews I was reading, going up against a boss battle, and they had a guy who was stealthy. Mm-hmm. So they were using his ability to kind of creep behind the enemy and get to its weak spot. And they also had this guy who was like a tank. So when they sent out these kind of super-powered soldiers, this boss character did, this tank character was disposing of these guys quickly. Mm-hmm. And then, there was another like laser that the boss would shoot, and he could switch to the other character he was using and kind of nimbly avoid the laser and that kind of stuff. So there's some strategy into how you choose these characters and their abilities and how you construct your team. So I thought that was really interesting. It's an interesting concept because you switch between these characters like instantly. Like I was watching a video of the game, and they were mentioning something like even in so much that if you were to jump over a large gap or like this chasm and try to get to the other side, like you could jump with one character and then instantly switch to your other character who has like a double jump or a glide or something to get across to like get across and get to the other side where you're trying to get to. So there's even things that you can do that on a moment-to-moment gameplay basis. So, I mentioned to you, man, I had no interest in this title at all until this week. Like, I saw the original trailer of it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this game. But reading about, some of the things you can do, the interesting twist on gameplay, and the fact that this is like G.I. Joe, where you have this, the Legion, they're called, or Legion of something, and you've got the agents of Mayhem who are like G.I. Joe, and they're going up against these guys, and they're like, Cobra, and they've got soldiers and different guys, and it sounds crazy, sounds over the top, sounds like it could be really, really fun, man. So I'm much more interested in this game after this week than I was previously.
Looks pretty cool. I might have to try to find a way to squeeze this in, but, man, this comes out, what was it, August 15th?
Yep.
And that's a week before Shadow of War. And then that's 2 weeks before Destiny 2.
Yeah. So I would be afraid to start an open world game like this before Shadow of War because, dude, I've got that 2 weeks to try and get Shadow of War in, and then after that it's Destiny, baby. So it's gonna be tough, but I've got to kind of clean my plate until Shadow of War comes out, and then try and fit that in, and then it's all Destiny all the time.
Good luck, Agents of Mayhem. Your mission will not be easy. Moving along, NBA Playgrounds is bringing back the spirit of NBA Jam, releasing on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
Did you check this trailer out, man?
I did. This actually looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this, dude.
This game is a return to the arcade-style basketball games of yesterday, like NBA Street and NBA Jam, officially licensed by the NBA.
Yeah.
And the game features players both active and retired, with Allen Iverson facing off against modern ballers like Stephen Curry and George Hill in the opening of this trailer that you're watching here. Every NBA team is featured in NBA Playgrounds, and the roster of current and retired players can be leveled up, keeping in line with its arcade-style roots. Playground features hundreds of over-the-top dunks and moves. The return of high-flying cartoonish arcade basketball hits Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, and Xbox One next month as a digital download for $20. So that's
nice.
Pretty sweit. $20 for an NBA Jam game. I will pick this up.
This one just came out of nowhere, man. Just kind of showed up. It's like, hey, it's coming out. It looks rad.
Yeah. This looks pretty good. I'm definitely on board for this.
I love NBA Jam. I love NBA Street. Those games were awesome. So to see this type of game coming back is pretty sweet, man. I'm on board for this as well. Definitely got to do a Let's Play on this one.
I'm down for that. Like I said, I've spent so many years as a kid with my friends. There were some heated games played with friends with NBA Jam. So,
dude, NBA Jam Tournament Edition on Super Nintendo.
Oh my!
The Phoenix Suns Gorilla. I was lights out. Lights out.
Man, that brings back memories. That's a great series. So I'm definitely looking forward to NBA Playgrounds. That looks sweet. Yeah. Boys, what's going on in the world of PlayStation, buddy?
Dude, how about this, man? I can't really handle any more games in this year. But there was a slip of the tongue this past week, possibly alluding to Spider-Man for the PS4 releasing this year.
Oh boy.
I don't believe this for a second that this game's coming out this year. But if it does, man, I mean it's just laughable at this point, So, Marvel Vice President Ryan Penagos has said that Insomniac's officially undated Spider-Man game will be released this year. This is according to IGN. In a stream spotted and captured by Reddit user Gaming Since 95, Penagos said, quote, "There's more on the horizon for 2017, like Spider-Man coming to PlayStation 4, end quote." So he just kind of threw this out there. Obviously, this was news to all of us,
including Insomniac.
Yeah, there's some small cause for doubt, given that Penagos isn't directly involved with Marvel's games division. When asked for comment, Sony simply said, quote, "We don't comment on rumor or speculation," end quote. Insomniac has previously only said that it was hard at work on cool stuff to share in 2017, and has never mentioned a specific release window. Obviously, we know the Spider-Man Homecoming movie coming out this July, so Spider-Man is going to be on the mind for many, many people. There was an update to this story from Insomniac via Twitter. They said, quote, "No release time frame has been announced at this time," end quote. Interesting that they just didn't flat out say this game's not coming this year. No,
It's true.
I mean, they didn't.
I was going to say, that kind of covers their ass. I mean, it kind of allows them some wiggle room. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's something they'd like to get out this year. But you don't want to write that off. So you just say, we have nothing to announce right now.
Yeah, dude, we have a lot of titles floating around right now that could potentially sneak into this fall. With Spider-Man, with Days Gone, with Detroit, with God of War.
Oh, man,
these are all games that are up in the air. And, man, I mean, I know Destiny's going to consume us, but there's a bunch of other people out there that are going to be playing other games, and we don't know what else is going to come out this fall. How many or any, if any, of these games do you think are going to come out, man? Like, do you think we see some of these games? I feel like at least one of these comes out. My money's on Detroit. I feel like that game's about ready for prime time. But I don't know, man.
See, I gotta believe. I mean, if I'm Sony, I have to believe that they do have something. One of these games, maybe two of them, planned for the fall. Because, look, you've released a ton of games already for the first 4 months of the year. You've got many PS4 exclusives that are scoring very, very well, and that's obviously going to generate sales. People are going to buy systems for a lot of these games. But then you got the fall coming up. You've got Mario, so Nintendo's going to do well. Nintendo's going to compete this fall with the Switch and Mario and whatnot. And then you've got Xbox Scorpio, and depending on what they show at E3 in terms of first-party stuff, Crackdown 3 ends up being a hit. Microsoft's in position to have a big holiday. Sony's not going to sit by and just be like, well, we had a big early first part of the year. Let's just sit by idly during the busiest holiday season. They're not going to do that. So that makes me wonder. We don't know anything big from Sony the rest of the year, do we? I mean, is there anything past Persona 5 that's an exclusive that's big?
I don't think we have dates for anything after this.
No.
I mean, really, after this first quarter, man, we have very few dates for the rest of this year.
So that tells me they're saving stuff for E3. They're going to have something big coming out this fall. I mean, obviously they're going to enjoy the Destiny 2 launch. They got their partnership with that. They're going to have their bundles
Call
with
of
that.
Duty.
Call of Duty.
Call of
So they're
Duty
going to
as well.
have their games. I'm sure they'll probably have something again with Battlefront. I think they had a relationship with Battlefront the first time around. So I mean, they're going to have the third-party games. So they're still going to have to have. I think they're still going to have one big first-party game, and that could be one of the 4 that you mentioned.
Yeah, I seriously can't handle any more games this year. This first 4 months of this year has just been incredible. And with some of the other stuff we know is coming out, like Shadow of War and Destiny 2, it's just like, man, I just can't do it, man. Can't handle any more games. Stop with the games, damn it. we gotta catch up on the last 2 years. Can't handle it, man. So, but if Spider-Man comes out, like, this is a game I will have to make time for. So I'm gonna have to take a night off Destiny one night and play Spider-Man because this one is getting played. There's no question about it. I can't wait for this game. Looks so good from what we've seen of it so far. So we'll keep our eye on that, Brent. How about this, man? The entire Jack and Daxter collection coming to the PlayStation 4 now. And this will not be the PlayStation 3 remasters of the first 3 Jack games. These will be the PS2 classics coming over to PS4. So this will be the first time that we've seen Jack X, so the combat racing game, which a lot of people loved back in the day, which I never got to play. I personally really enjoyed Jack and Daxter. It was a cool take on the Mario 64 formula. I thought this was a really fun game on PlayStation 2. Jack 2 was cool in that it went more action focused. There's a lot of shooting elements in that game, so that was really cool. But I thought the Jack series was good, man. I'm looking forward to having these games on the PlayStation 4. I know some people are wondering why they didn't use the remasters from the PlayStation 3 and bring them over. I don't know. No idea. I don't know what goes into the development or the tech of these things, but to have the up-res 1080p versions of these Jack games, I think it'll be fine, and it's cool to have Jack X, man. Any history with the Jack games? Did you ever play these on PS2?
I didn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing these when they come out, and don't have a release date on them yet, but I'll be looking forward to that. Dude, I have to jump on this as well. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but I will be. This Humble THQ Nordic bundle, an incredible deal. Just an incredible deal, man. Let me see if I can get the games. Yeah, so for $1, you get the Book of Unwritten Tales 2 for PS4, Red Faction, the PS2 classic for PlayStation 4, the PS2 on PS4 version, Super Dungeon Bros, which is a game that you guys loved, I know. Deponia, and Arcania, the complete tale. All that for $1.
Huh.
So those are games. Arcania, I think, is like $30.
Is it really?
Or something along those lines. Or maybe it's $20, but Deponia, I think that's a $20 game. So quite a bit in there for $1. For if you beat the average, which I believe is around between $10 and $15 right now, if you beat the average, you also get Legend of K Anniversary on either PS3 or PS4. Battle World Chronos for PS4, Destroy All Humans, and Destroy All Humans 2, both of those PS2 on PS4 games. If you pay $15 or more, you get all of those games plus MX vs. ATV Supercross on the PS3, Darksiders for PS3, Darksiders 2 for PS3, MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore for PS4, Darksiders War Mastered for PS4, and Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition for PS4. All that for $15.
Wow.
So, that is a hell of a deal, if I do say so myself. So, some of these games I haven't purchased yet, so I will be jumping in on that $15 package. Obviously, some of this money goes to charity as well, so it's a great cause. What Humble does, what they're able to do with some of these bundles, just the value is incredible. That's a hell of a deal, right, dude? For $15.
I'm picking that up. I didn't realize you get all that for $15.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a crazy deal here, man. You get, and how about that? They give you the Darksiders stuff for PS3 and PS4. You get both of them. So if you own both PS3 and PS4 consoles, you are making out like a bandit here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games for $15 in the THQ Humble Bundle.
Wow.
Incredible value. So if you're listening to this, I think you have until April 18th to pick this up. So go and get this. I mean, $15. You can't go wrong with this, man. Just an incredible. How many of these games don't you have, Brent? The majority of them?
I'd say a majority of them, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't have the majority of these ones either, so it's a great deal, man. All right, moving on from there, we got a couple other things that were announced this week. Aven Colony is like another city building game, but it's like with a sci-fi twist. Looks like it has some tower defense elements in there, possibly with some of the aliens that you have to deal with. That's coming out in Q2 of this year on both the PS4 and the Xbox One, so look out for that. Nier Automata, huge success, dude. Surpassing 1 million units, both digitally and physically.
Wow.
So, not bad at all. I mean, this is a game that's been out for less than a month. So, it's also what many people would assume is probably a niche title. It's a platinum action RPG that from an obscure series that not a lot of people have experience with. So to see this game come out in mid-March, and here we are, in the early part of April, and this thing's moved 1 million units. Dude, that's impressive, man. This has to be considered a huge success by Square and Platinum, and it just goes to show that there's appetites for this game. Like, this game's reviewed very, very well. This is another one of those PlayStation exclusives we're talking about. Game reviewed off the charts. People love this game. There's some people out there in the industry like championing this game, like Patrick Klepek. He's talking and tweeting about Nier all the time, talking about how great of a game this is. So there's people evangelizing this title, and people are getting behind it. So there is an audience for great, quirky games that are made well, that people can get behind. So I'm glad to see that this is selling well. That's awesome. Dude, what do you think about this Atlas story? So Persona 5 streamers, they can only go up to a certain point, and then after that, they risk feeling the wrath of Atlas. And Atlas USA has made this pretty clear. I think that this is a Japan thing. Like, this is Atlas Japan. The kind of the headquarters of Atlas, kind of mandating this thing that you can't stream the game past a certain point because they don't want the game to be spoiled. What do you think about this, man? I think, and it's kind of like when you tell the kid not to put his hand in the cookie jar. What's the first thing he does? He goes and puts his hand in the cookie jar. So Atlas tells people don't stream the game past a certain point for fear of spoilers. So
July 7th is what it was.
Yeah. So people take to Twitter and the internet and just start posting spoilers because that's kind of like their defiance thing. So be very, very careful if you're on Twitter and you're looking at anything Persona 5 related. it's very possible that there could be a spoiler floating around out there. What do you think about this whole thing, man?
I think it's silly. I mean, I understand that's how they look at it from Japan, and that's fine. But look, if they're worried about people, ruining the story and not buying the game, look, there's three groups of people. There's people who are buying the game, and they're not going to look for spoilers. There's people who are interested in the game, who might have watched a little bit, but they're not going to watch the whole thing for the spoiler. They don't want to get spoiled. And then there's people who aren't buying the game. So why does it matter if they watch spoilers?
Yeah.
In the end, I mean, it's a person's choice. If they want to spoil a game, who cares? They're not going to buy it in the first place.
Yeah.
Anybody else who's interested in this game or who wants to play this game, they're not going to watch spoilers. So what does it matter if there's? I would be more worried about people just posting random shit on Twitter than somebody streaming it, because when you post stuff on Twitter, you might not have a choice, but it's going to show up on your thing, and you may it's ruined. Whereas if I know somebody's streaming a certain point of the game or any of the game that I don't want to know about, I'm just not going to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's clearly a disconnect between, the office in Japan and what happens here in the West. So, streaming is a big thing over here, and for a game like Persona 5, I don't see like the harm that it could do. Like you said, if people aren't interested in spoilers, they just won't watch the stream. So it's very strange, and if anything, it seemed like when you're streaming the game, it would help the game. Like, somebody would be interested in the title, they see somebody streaming it, and they're like, man, this is actually really, really cool. Like, I would have never played a game like this before without watching the stream. So now they're watching the stream, and then they go out and buy the game. But now people are defiant to even stream the beginning of this game, because they're like, well, Atlas is being this way about it, so I don't even want to stream the game at all. So it's very, very strange. Hopefully they'll change their tune on this. Hopefully it won't be too little too late when that happens. But it's very strange, and hopefully they can get that straightened out.
We'll see. It just seems silly to me. It's not even strange. It's just silly.
Yeah.
So last bit of news, we're going to talk a little bit of Nintendo. First up, in an interview with Famitsu, the Zelda series producer Aonuma was asked whether the franchise would retain the open world concept used in Breath of the Wild, or would it return to its tradition gated dungeon progression. Aonuma had this to say: from now on, this will probably be the standard form. However, eventually that in itself could become seen as Zelda as usual, as we would start to hear opinions this way and that way. This has always been the case, and the result of what we've made is Zelda. Aonuma's point is that the dungeon progression itself was once considered a new idea, but became seen as an expected style over time, which makes the latest game feel new by comparison. So, I mean, boys, do you have any time with, like, the previous Zeldas?
Yeah, lots of time.
Like, how do you feel about that? I mean, you've played Breath of the Wild. Do you like this form of this new version of Zelda, or would you like to see them go back, or do you think that's just something that's best left in the past? It's nostalgic. It's great. Those were great days. Do you want to see this franchise move forward into open world, or would you like to see them go back to the old way?
I mean, I think it's clear that people love this open world. From what I've played of it, I like it a lot. I think it's a good style to go with. So I think this makes perfect sense that they would stick with this style for the foreseeable future, because, like you said, it took them 30 years to go and try this, this new style with Zelda. So I think they can roll with this for a while, and I don't think it'll grate too much on people. The interesting thing, and we've talked about it on the show before, and it's been hypothesized by people, but I think it would be, in a best case scenario, they take the handheld Zelda team and they make like a traditional Zelda, like a Link to the Past kind of Zelda, and put it out on the Switch, and you can play it in handheld or on the TV, and it kind of evokes that feeling of nostalgia that us old Zelda fans like. But the main team or the console team continues to make these big, sprawling, open world epics. I think in an ideal world, that's what we would want to see. But I don't have a problem with them sticking with the open world setting. People love it. It's been extremely successful for them, both critically and commercially. So I don't know why they'd go away from it.
Awesome. Yeah, I like the way it's played. I've enjoyed it immensely, and so I don't have too much experience with previous iterations. But I can tell right now, if I'm playing on the Switch or I'm playing on a big screen, I would rather play this version than that version, based on what I've seen. So, And now, this last bit of Nintendo news, if you don't want to get the TH Nordic Humble Bundle or whatever it is, you can just grab Darksiders War Mastered finally on Wii U when it releases next month on May 23rd. This will cost you $20 for the remaster of the original Darksiders, which obviously includes HD resolution update up to 630p probably, and improvements of performance. So who's buying this?
Yeah, nobody. This is literally just them fulfilling a contract or whatever. And
wow.
If this thing sells 1,000 copies or something, it's probably going to be miraculous. Think about this too, man. Like you said, this thing's $20. For $15, you can buy the Humble Bundle on PS4, and Darksiders War Mastered is in there along with 14 other games. That just shows you the value in that bundle right now. So if you haven't, go buy that bundle. It's pretty sweet.
So if you're still hanging on to that Wii U, and you need to buy something to justify its existence for being connected to your TV, Darksiders War Mastered finally has a Wii U release date. So it'll be coming out next month. If you want to know how good the game is, go over to the website, read Bender's review. He played through War Mastered Edition on better tech, but still get an idea of how it plays. So check that out.
Bender liked it. I know Frankie really likes that game too. It's a game. It's a game I've always wanted to play, but I haven't played yet. So I'll pick up that Humble Bundle and at least have it in my library.
I'll buy the Humble Bundle. Probably never play any of the games, but hey, at least I'll have them, right? At least I have them.
Yeah.
And that's going to do it for the news this week. Great show. Always a good time with you boys. Always good when we do. Always fun to go back to a two-man show once in a while. But obviously we love Frankie and Bender, and they will be back next week. We'll get their thoughts on the Scorpio. I know Frankie has a lot to talk about. He's very excited for the system. So we'll get those guys back on next week. Boys, in the meantime, where can we find you gaming and tweeting?
As always, Brent, I'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930. And, of course, that's my PSN handle as well, and that's where you can find me on the Nintendo Switch, Piccolo930. Still haven't noted that friend code. One of these days it'll happen. And
it's not going to happen ever.
I'll spout it out here. But one more shout-out to the Indie Spotlight. It'll be out on Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Come join us live on our YouTube channel. Search out Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. We'll be firing up Cosmic Star Heroine, so if you're at all a fan of 16-bit RPGs, join me on there. It should be a good time.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, Xbox Live, TheRealDude79, and PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, TheDude79. Make sure you follow our website on Twitter at TheShortPause. Visit www.shortpause.com for all your gaming news, reviews, videos, podcasts, and more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. We also stream on Twitch, Short Pause Live. If you like this podcast, if you really enjoy it, give us a 5-star rating. Go over to iTunes, write down a nice review, tell us why you love the show. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's cool. We don't want any fake ones. Come over to the website, go right into the comments below. Share your thoughts, your feedback, your opinions, anything you want. We want to hear from you. That's the only way this show gets better is if we hear from you. If you got questions, if you want to comment on something we've talked about, and it's a long question or a long comment, send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. We'll read it off right on the air. We'll discuss it. We want to hear from you. We want to get you on the show. You're the reason we do this show. We might as well get you on the damn thing, right? So email us, podcast@shortpause.com. You can find this podcast on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, and Google Play. And obviously you can also watch it right here on YouTube. For Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for listening and watching the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.